Hello, everyone, and welcome to America's Day at the Races on our FS1 coverage. It's brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Happy Super Bowl Sunday to everybody out there as well. No better spot to get you up to game time than right here with live coverage from Aqueduct, Oaklawn out in Hot Springs, Arkansas, and Tampa Bay. Our crew all across the country. Greg Wolf in studio with the winningest rider of the history of this racetrack, the MIG, Richard Migliori, Sarah Elbadwe as well with us as we get set for this early card already underway with our Sunday action, our early feature on our FS1 coverage. This fifth race we're going to see where Dr. Kraft, huge long shot last time out. Very big effort. Can he get it done and seal the deal this time around?
I actually bet on him last time, was beating a nose, but I did back him up for place, so I hope he can follow up, but I think I missed a big opportunity last time, and actually, because I got a big push from you, Sarah.
I remember that you bet him to place as well, so I was excited that you still got some of your money back in that effort. He was way too big of a price last time, 31-1 in that race. It was a tough luck second place finish for him as he was able to put away the other speeds to his inside. But now he's the inside speed today with a couple of quick horses drawn to his outside.
Yeah, and I think that just makes Trevor McCarthy have to maintain forward position. And sometimes I think that's a good thing because you're going to be unwavering. You're going to be committed to a plan. And I think riders do better when they are committed to a plan.
See if he can get the job done today. He's going to have to face a little bit more pace pressure, but this is a situation where you don't want a horse at a short price that you had at such a big price last time out, and maybe there's somebody else that might be a little bit better value.
That's the last time was the time theory, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, people say that a lot, and a lot of times it's true. But this horse is trending in the right direction, sure. No question. But yeah, we'd all rather take 31-1 than the 5-2 morning line, maybe even shorter that now with a couple of scratches in that race. That's race 5. That happens 1:50 Eastern start time. Let's take a look at what's ahead on the program presented by Claiborne Farm. We're going to have a lot of action all across the country. As mentioned, 3 tracks on our FS1 coverage here. Fast at Aqueduct. Races 3 through 9 to come on our combined coverage, FS1 and FS2. Hot Springs, we'll check in with Paula Duca a little bit later on. They are fast at Oaklawn, and Tampa Bay will have races 1 and 2 early on. They are fast and firm. And of course, you can play all the action by getting signed up started with Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. The offer for new members, that $200 deposit match sign up bonus for new customers. Punch in match 200 at sign up. And you're ready to roll. Again, at NairaBets.com. Set the stage for the first out of Tampa Bay Downs condition claiming race. $5,000 claiming tag, all for sale for that price in this race. 6 furlong sprint to kick things off. And we got 4 of the 7 on the board, Mig, between 2-1 and 5-1.
Yeah, I think it's a very wide open affair. And a lot of times with these lower level horses, it's about who is good on the day, and I like horses that have speed in these lower level races, Sarah, because I feel like lower level horses have a tendency to get discouraged a little more easily.
Passing horses not always in their forte to be able to do, so sometimes it's just best to have the horse that doesn't have to do that in order to get themselves into the winner's circle. It does seem like there are a couple horses that do want to have that forward position in this race, the number 5 Lohengrin 2 being one of them that Will are very familiar with on this circuit as he's raced here a couple of times, as well as Golden Juan towards the outside, and maybe No Angel getting that surface switch, a horse that we haven't seen since September of last year. Maybe one getting some class relief as your current favorite could be forwardly placed as well.
Obviously a huge Saturday we had coverage of at Tampa Bay, and look at the stakes winners from yesterday on that Derby trail, the Sam F. Davis, No More Time. And we'll talk about it more a little bit later in the program, but Paco Lopez said he was told the plan was put the brakes on out of the gate, sit 3rd or 4th. Horse brakes so sharp, he said, I got to go on with it, and goes gate to wire.
Well, I think a rider has to be able to call audibles, and when you leave the gate running, I think it's always a mistake to take something away from a horse that comes easy.
And maybe not riding to instructions, but having to adapt in the middle of a race to what was already occurring and what he already had in front of him, being able to go on with the early speed that No More Time was showing. And I think at the end of the day, nobody was too upset.
When you win, it's amazing. You could completely disregard instructions and win, and everybody loves you. You can listen to instructions and get beat, and there will be criticism.
And it looks like it's on to bigger and better things. That Tampa Bay Derby March 9th, and even the runner-up in there. We'll talk about it later again, but Agate Road. hit the gate coming out. Poor start, but looks like he's going to stay on that Derby trail as well. As for this race here, as we get set for this opener coming up, public, for right now anyway, settling on No Angel. For Saffie Joseph Jr., had an unproductive 2023.
Yeah, but spent the majority of 2023 on synthetic, really, the entirety of 2023 on synthetic. And the races on dirt were actually okay previous to that.
Yeah, kind of going back to the drawing board with this horse, cutting back in distance off of a race that was a synthetic route. And Saffie Joseph Jr., his numbers going from that synthetic surface to dirt. He's 13 for 66, 20%, $2.06 ROI over the past 5 years. So it's worked out well for him when he makes that surface switch. And this one also facing tougher company in his last couple of starts as well.
You look at quite a few that want to be forward in this race. You got Mr. Banjo Man Turf Sprint Speed coming in fresh too. Is that who's the quick of the quick in your eyes?
Well, when he's good, I think it's Longren too, right? The 5 horse, isn't he the horse? I mean, he's a big price, but when he was at his most effective, it's when he shows that high speed.
Exactly, and it's something that we've seen him be successful with here in New York when he was able to take advantage of having that front-running speed and being able to go on with it. Now, I feel as though overall his form has kind of declined in general, but at the same time, maybe he gets back to some of those tactics and they work out for him at a big price.
Keep in mind, we got our first live action on the program from Aqueduct, about 14 minutes to post as well. That is a race that's going to kick off a middle pick 4, $20,000 maiden claiming 7 furlong sprint coming up. Probably, with the exception of one other filly probably later on in the card, this is the shortest price we're going to see on the day here in New York.
Yeah, obviously they're really going to lean on Rob Falcone's Take Time to Dream the 3. You get Manny Franco, and this horse is dropping off of races that are all good enough to win here.
She disappointed last time as the favorite a little bit, finishing 3rd, but that was a sloppy racetrack. And if you go back to her race 2 starts ago, that 68 Beyer when she was 2nd, that wins this upcoming race most of the time.
A Copa Girl in that 8th, probably going to be a very short price as well. But this next 3rd race coming up, 3-5 favorite with that Falcone runner. Getting set for the first at Tampa. Loading up, 6 furlong sprint. Jason Beam with the call on our FS1 coverage.
5-2, Golden Wad on the outside. Lohengrin 2 coming up. What do you got, Mr. Banjo Man and Golden Juan will be all set for a start today's opener. Ready to kick off a Sunday of action here at Tampa Bay Downs. We are fast on the main track, firm on the turf course. It's another beautiful sunny day here. Temperatures right around that 80-degree mark. So we just await Golden Juan and John Geraldo to the outside gate. Golden Juan coming up and in. They're in the gate. And the race is on. Preferred Outcome broke sharply, but toward the inside, I'm Taking It to the Bank is a little bit quicker. Lohengrin 2 coming out of the pack as well. Lohengrin 2 up to Poconos in front. If I'm Taking It to the Bank, who's back to 2nd. No Angel came away 3rd. Up from the outside, Mr. Banjo Man in those bright colors is now 4th. Golden Juan 5th up the back stretch, about 5.5 off the leaders. It's 2 more lengths back to Preferred Outcome, and not a cat but a card is the trailer. So they have 3.5 furlongs left to go. Lohengrin 2 through an opening quarter of 21-4. They got a pretty strong breeze at their back, but a honest opening tempo here. I'm Taking It to the Bank right up alongside now. And here's I'm Taking It to the Bank going up to grab the lead from Lohengrin 2. Golden Juan starts to move out 3 deep from 3rd. In behind, Mr. Banjo Man is 4th. 2 more back to No Angel, who's 5th right now, and about 4 off the lead as I'm Taking It to the Bank has the lead. It's I'm Taking It to the Bank to the top of the stretch, suddenly in front by 3. Golden Juan. In between horses, Mr. Banjo Man down at the inside is Lohengrin 2. No Angel looking for a seam in behind. As they come inside the final furlong, I'm Taking It to the Bank, and Gabriel Maldonado clear out here. I'm Taking It to the Bank by the 16th pole. Late charge down the outside from Preferred Outcome. Might get up to 2nd, but no getting to 1st. I'm Taking It to the Bank gets the win. No Angel is actually going to get through and grab 2nd over Preferred Outcome. Mr. Banjo Man finished 4th.
I'm Taking It to the Bank. Picture time here. Gabriel Maldonado on board for trainer Pablo Torres.
Yeah, real nice job by Gabe Maldonado when Lohengrin 2 went really all in for the lead. He let his horse do enough to make that horse clear him, create separation, ease out to the 2-path, take longer in 2 when he was ready around the far turn. He was the best horse, but he gave him a real nice tactical ride.
It was a smart decision to be able to sort of apply that pressure, make sure that the speed horse had to go on with things, and then really able to just take over and open up that margin.
Third at Aqueduct. Quick look at the odds here. Starts a middle pick for 7/8 of a mile sprint, $20,000 maiden claiming group, and that big favorite we talked about, Take Time to Dream. 3 to 5 right now for the Rob Falcone barn. We're going to take a timeout. Manny Franco will have the mount on that big favorite. He, for the 3rd time in his career, led all riders on the New York circuit in wins in 2023. We'll talk about one of the strongest on the circuit when we come back. Jockey Manny Franco has been no stranger to the winner's circle in his career. Even with over 2,000 wins, including multiple Grade 1s, he continues to stay motivated to be the very best in the game.
I'm hungry, I want to win races, that's what I'm here for.
Family has always been a driving force for Franco. From his first trip to the track, to jockey school, and coming to the United States, Manny's bond with his father has been a key component to his success.
I was about like 14 years old. My dad took me to the track every Sunday in Puerto Rico. Saw those animals running, and I just fall in love with the sport.
Throughout his career, Franco has found support from fellow Puerto Rican riders Arad and Jose Ortiz, as well as Hall of Famer John Velasquez.
Coming from Puerto Rico, coming from the same school, you have to be very proud, you know. And although we compete with one another, but you have to be proud to what they've done and to have the talent. There's no doubt that Manny has the talent to be a top rider in the whole country.
It is going to be a photo finish, and I think it was Discreet Lover. Schering takes the lead. Late move from Dye. Back to third is Sweet Melania. Schering and Manny Franco have won.
And he's gonna do it, Manny Franco, in the Grade 1 Joe Hurst Turf Classic. But it is Tiz the Law, and the New York bred is gonna win New York's Belmont Stakes, the first leg of the 2020 Triple Crown. Here he is, Saratoga's hometown hero, Tiz the Law.
With all his accolades, Manny is still missing that one win all jockeys want the most.
And I want to win the Kentucky Derby so bad, man. That's the dream for any jockey, the Kentucky Derby.
There he is on the big favorite, Manny Franco. Makes such a terrific talent. You know, I call him the silent assassin because he just kind of goes about his business, doesn't talk a lot. But in a jockey colony that we talk about all the time, the toughest there is in the game, kind of flies under the radar a little bit.
Well, he does, because he just goes out and does his job every single day in a very consistent fashion. And he's such a physically gifted, strong athlete.
Absolutely, and really having those opportunities for Chad Brown, I think, has also bolstered some of his success in New York over the past couple of years.
Here is Teresa. Dylan Davis aboard for Oscar Barrera.
I think a player here turning back in distance, getting back to a fast track after getting bumped around at the start last time.
Big price next door, Dramatic Effect, who's not hit the board in 4 starts.
Well, her last out Buyer speed figure is actually competitive with this group. Does figure to be a fair price. 5-year-old making only her 5th start.
Here's the man we just showed you the feature on, Manny Franco. A good sign he's back to ride this favorite as well.
Yeah, dropping down to the $20,000 level, and she has races more than good enough to win here.
Drop in class coming in from straight maiden races, though, at Finger Lakes for the Honorable Eye.
Yeah, taking that drop in class, like you said, though, Finger Lakes to here is a little bit tougher anyway.
Touche, trained by Gary Contessa. Katie Davis aboard.
Her race is in for a tag, make her competitive in this spot. 2 second-place finishes and tried tougher in her last 2 races.
And Debbie Darling, little tough to make a case for, was in against state-bred maiden claiming last start with no impact.
Yeah, just going to have to improve to be competitive here.
So 3-5 favoritism, as we expected to be a very short price, this filly for the Rob Falcone barn, Take Time to Dream. And initially, she was in straight maiden special weight races against some pretty good ones and showed ability in those races.
Yeah, I mean, she's shown ability all along. She's always shown some speed. She's always put herself somewhat in the game. She should be forward here. I really don't see anybody here that has her early kind of pace.
Well, let's check in for the first time on our FS1 coverage with Maggie Wolfendale.
Yeah, taking a look at your current heavy favorite, she is so much the horse to beat. I mean, not only does her PPs and running lines suggest that, but she suggests it looking at her too. She's a bigger filly. She carries a lot of conditioning. She definitely looks the part out there for trainer Rob Falcone here, and just warmed up beautifully too. She's obviously a filly who does not like a wet track. Good thing here, the weather has turned in the right direction this week. She has a fast track to contend on, and I really can't see past her. As we'll take a look at the horse who does project to be the second choice, and here rightfully so, is number 6 Touche. Does drop down back to the maiden claiming level where 3 and 4 back, she ran competitive races, 2 second-place efforts. And honestly, this is one of the better times I've seen this 4-year-old filly by Motown look, in that she is carrying better weight. She is a very long, spindly type of filly, but just better overall. And the last few times I saw her, she got really washed out. She has now been clipped, which I think is a good thing. And maybe just back in with her friends, which does make her somewhat competitive here. As we'll also take a look at number 1, Teresa. Says she'll turn back a furlong to the 7/8, back on a dry track for her, stepping out of state bred company for the first time. She's a little stronger across the top line, which I like to see. Just kind of another horse in here, to be fair. But again, Greg, it's all about the 3-5 shot. Take Time to Dream.
It would appear very short price and looks the part too, warming up, doesn't she?
She could not look any better in the warm-up. Beautiful animation to her stride, just moving very freely, loose. I have no false illusions. Obviously, the 3 Take Time to Dream is going to be very tough to beat. I think, Sarah, you and I both took a little bit of a stab at the 6 Touche being the most logical alternative.
Absolutely, a horse that just is getting that little bit of class relief and just seems like the other one to go to in this spot.
Let's bring in Jonathan Kinchin for the first time today. JK, what do you think? Any chinks in the armor with the big favorite here?
I mean, they're maiden claimers, right? So there's always chinks in the armor. You never know exactly what's going to happen, who's going to show up. But I will say I think this race is kind of a good illustration of the conversation about value, right? Yes, 3-5 shots can be value. I'm not saying that the 3 Take Time to Dream is value. I'm just talking in a bigger picture. A 3-5 shot can be value. And just because the 6, and I agree with you guys, the 6 is the alternative. I just still, based on what I see on the paper, need a little bit of a better number than 5-2. I'm not, look, I completely agree. 6 is definitely the alternative to the 3. But when you compare the prices, the 3-5 versus the 5-2, and you compare the horses, to me, there's actually more value in taking the 3-5 on the favorite Take Time to Dream than there is on 5-2. It's not a flat line situation where we're talking about value here. It's just when the horse is paying more than their actual chances of winning. So that's a long way for me to tell you I'm taking the chop.
Yeah, I mean, look, sometimes you can have 2-5, 1-5, and it's value. If the horse is that much better than the rest of the field relative to what they're facing, just a massive standout here.
No, she is. You know, the thing was, I was looking at, she's had 6 tries. I mean, Touche's had 8 tries. They both, you know, kind of have shown what they are. I just thought Touche might sit the right trip, and the last 2 times she was in for maiden claiming prices, both of those races were good enough to be competitive with the 3.
And in that last time she was in for a tag, the rail was good that day. She was further back than she normally is. Maybe she can get into a better position in this spot. And she did go very wide for clear running room, whereas the winner of that race, LeGroat, did come right up the rail. So perhaps against the track a little bit, maybe you try to elevate that performance based on the kind of trip that she had. Of course, the number 3, Take Time to Dream, makes a lot of sense. But there are some reasons to try to look elsewhere.
3-5 favorite. Take Time to Dream. 7th opportunity to get that first win of her career, and this is the lowest level she'll ever have run at. There she is loading up with Manny Franco. Again, last year, 3rd time in his career. He led all riders in New York in victories. 238 wins for him last year on this circuit. Let's go upstairs. Chris Griffin for the call of the 3rd from Aqueduct.
Last 2 below. Touche. Debbie Darling is in. All set. And they're off. Good speed from Take Time to Dream right out to the front and on the far outside. That's Debbie Darling in the early mix. And towards the inside, here comes Dramatic Effect trying to join these leaders. It's going to be Debbie Darling and Take Time to Dream. They're 1-2, and they're head and head, and now Take Time to Dream is going to take back just a touch. We'll sit in second. He's going to move towards the outside here as Manny Franco, a look over the right shoulder, slips into the 2 path. Dramatic Effect is at the rail, is in 3rd. It's followed by Touche, who's in 4th towards the back. Teresa with the trailer, the Honorable Eye. On the front end, the big long shot, and Debbie Darling at 22-1. A big number is 2.5, now 3 in front with less than 4 furlongs to travel. Alone in second. Take Time to Dream took off that early tempo, 24-1 for the opening quarter mile. Is alone in second, and here comes Take Time to Dream is coming right after the big number. Here comes Touche. Is there in 3rd, and Touche is trying to rally on with Teresa. They're 3rd and 4th under a full drive. That's Dramatic Effect, and far back the Honorable Eye. It's still Debbie Darling in front. Take Time to Dream hasn't caught her yet. And here comes Take Time to Dream up alongside. It's Debbie Darling trying to gut it out here at the top of the stretch. Take Time to Dream is now pounced, and Take Time to Dream is the new leader. It's Take Time to Dream at 3-5 is up by a length, call it a length and a half. The only one with a shot here is Touche from way out of it. Touche is making up some late ground. Take Time to Dream with a 16th left to go. It's Take Time to Dream who's almost there. Take Time to Dream gets the job done. Take Time to Dream will get it. It's a photo. Give it to Touche to the outside of Debbie Darling. A photo for second. And 1-26 and 4.
Take Time to Dream is a 3-5 favorite with a convincing win, and Manny Franco made content to let that big long shot get in front and sit right behind that one.
Manny broke running with your favorite Take Time to Dream, looked over, saw Isaac Castillo on Debbie Darling, a 22-1 shot, being aggressive, allowed him to clear, put his filly out in the clear, rode her like the best horse. She was the best horse. Thought it was a really heads-up ride by Isaac Castillo on a long shot. That's how you get horses to improve on their past form, by being aggressive and kind of getting them more involved.
We've seen him be aggressive with a lot of long shots in his time riding here at Aqueduct over the winter, and it's led to some in-the-money finishes for him at big prices, so it pays to be aggressive. But Manny Franco on the best horse, he knew what he had underneath of him and wasn't at all panicked by allowing that one to go forward, took to the outside, and was just much the best.
Yeah, and the 6-horse Touche did get up for second under a never say die kind of ride by Katie Davis, who actually will be heading to Saudi Arabia to ride in that Jockey Challenge. It's pretty exciting for her.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting that opportunity, heading over there, I'm sure that'll be quite the experience to do so, and looking forward to hearing what she has to say when she returns.
Lucrative, too.
Just a little.
Yeah, potentially. Really lucrative.
A lot of money on the line. 3-5 favorite here in the third at Aqueduct. Take time to dream. Manny Franco, Rob Falcone, Me B Racing Stables with the victory. 3-6-7-2. We're going to take a timeout when we return. Look back on the Derby Trail and that Sam F. Davis. No more time. Jose D'Angelo had to feel good about this. Passed on last week's Holy Bull, staying away from the 2-year-old champ, and it pays off.
DeMarchelier offers breeders a rare opportunity as the only son of Dubawi standing in Kentucky. Dubawi, one of the world's most celebrated stallions, is now a sire of sires. This son of Dubawi brings one of the world's most potent bloodlines to America. On the track, his recent top runners include these star performers. DeMarchelier, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings no matter where you are with Naira Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with Naira Bets.
Into second. Nashville dropping out of it, and then collusion illusion. What a spectacular return for Charlatan, who will romp in the run-happy Malibu Stakes by 4.5 emphatic lengths. Charlatan, ultra impressive. It's a new day for a new king.
Back on our FS1 coverage, you're watching America's Day at the Races, brought to you in part by legendary Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually well, third in the book here at South Ozone Park, New York, and it's Take Time to Dream, the 3-5 favorite, and the chalk gets the job done convincingly.
Yeah, just worked out a really good trip. Broke sharp, got his position going forward. Manny Franco on the best horse. Allowed a long shot to clear, indulged her until about the quarter pole, asked her to run, and drew off as much the best.
It was a confident ride. He knew that he was on a horse that was going to likely win this race, so he didn't get worried about another horse taking that early lead away from him. He eased back, was able to get that nice outside position to be able to go by that one in the stretch, and had enough to easily hold off Touche.
You know, and Mig, back to Manny for a minute. You know, we talk about how good he is leading this circuit again and wins last year. Big part of it, I mean, he credits his agent, John Panagot, with his success. Also riding, getting into that Chad Brown barn a little bit, but he started this year off the way he ended it last year. He had a 6-win day at Aqueduct early January also.
He's such a talented rider on so many levels. John Panagot's done a tremendous job. And when you get opportunities with trainers like Chad Brown, it's a vote of confidence for other trainers. So, wow, if he's good enough to ride for that guy, he's good enough to ride pretty much for anybody.
There was a short period of time where he seemed like the rider that was sort of the alternative, maybe not the more favored one in the Chad Brown barn, but slowly he's really become the go-to guy for Chad in New York on this Naira circuit.
Yeah, winning more races for Chad than anybody last year.
Yeah, they had a lot of success together. You saw quickly those odds for that 50,000 starter allowance. This race kicks off the pick 6, 1 1/8 two-turn test coming up in this next race. And right now it's Grandpa's Kid, the favorite. We'll dive deeper into this race here in just a moment. Going to look back again to the Triple Crown Trail from Saturday down at Tampa Bay. And it was the ABR race of the week. As we mentioned, was not the instructions for Paco Lopez on no more time, but said he just broke unbelievable, and he said, I'm going to let him roll, and he goes gate to wire for the win.
Well, I'm a great believer in getting your position going forward and never taking anything away that comes easy to a horse. He broke running. That's when the instructions go out the window. A trainer has to trust his rider. Tom Brady wasn't going to the line of scrimmage worrying about what Bill Belichick told him. He was going to react to the moment. That's one of the reasons why Paco Lopez is successful. He reacts to the moment.
Exactly, and really taking advantage of that early speed that this horse was showing, and maybe had that built-in excuse coming in for not firing in the Mucho Macho Man, had missed a little bit of training time according to Jose D'Angelo, but had really regrouped after that effort and was coming out of the Fountain of Youth to run here, or the Holy Bull rather, to run here instead. It ended up being the right move.
Chiefs win today. You're going to change that statement, how you started it, and put Pat Mahomes instead of Tom Brady?
Well, we can do that. How about a horse the other day, Mahomey, winning at Oaklawn, paying a big price?
Yeah,
Wasn't that a hunch bet?
I know, lost the Super Bowl hunch bet with that one. I can't believe that one wasn't a shorter price.
Got to feel good for Jose D'Angelo, too. Passes on that Holy Bull last week. Wanted to stay away from the 2-year-old champ, but also his horse he felt needed another work. He'd gotten sick after that Mucho Macho Man, but for that move to pay off for this horse.
Well, absolutely. And, you know, give credit to the owner giving him the ability to do what he knew was best for the horse. And it worked out best of all for Paco Lopez because he rode Hades in the Holy Bull, got to set that very slow pace and won the Holy Bull. And then he gets to ride this horse here in the Tampa Bay Derby and wins this as well. So it really worked out for Paco.
Yeah, multiple Derby prospects for him moving forwards, and quite a wide open group of 3-year-old males going forwards. His fierceness did not show back up with what he had shown in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile.
It's just going to get bigger, more pressure as the points races. 20 points for no more time to get into that starting gate for the Kentucky Derby. 50-point races to come. Then it's the 100-point races. March 9th, though, that Tampa Bay Derby in the not-too-distant horizon, and even the runner-up from that Sam F. Davis, Agate Road, where that trouble hit the gate coming out. Todd Pletcher says he's going to give him another shot.
I think he earned another shot. He finished well. He showed that he handles dirt. Maybe ultimately he'll wind up showing he's better on, one surface or the other, but right now he seems pretty proficient on both, Sarah.
There's nothing lost by staying on the dirt this time of year, and nothing necessarily gained by switching over to the turf. He's not missing any major races for 3-year-old males on the grass, so you might as well take advantage of a horse that can do both and keep him going towards that Kentucky Derby.
Wide open Derby picture to this point. You could say the same for the Kentucky Oaks for 3-year-old fillies. Back-to-back years now. Upsets of huge favorites in the Suncoast on the road to the Kentucky Oaks. We'll talk about Power Squeeze and her performance on Saturday when we come back. Back with you on America's Day at the Races. Thanks for being with us on Super Bowl Sunday, taking you up to the big game. More live action ahead from Tampa Bay, Aqueduct, and Oaklawn. Look back again at the 3-year-old filly division on the road to the Kentucky Oaks, first Friday in May. And back-to-back years, once again, big upsets in this race. Wonder Wheel upset last year, Life Talk upset this year.
How about this effort, though, from Power Squeeze? I love the way she came through on the inside here. And look at the way she drops her head and reaches for ground. I like when horses put their head out and down, Sarah, and really cover that ground like that.
And brave to go up the rail as well. And of course, this race more wide open without Life Talk showing up. Of course, your heavy favorite defeated in this race. And maybe a question whether or not Power Squeeze would come back and replicate that 82 buyer that she had run in her last start. She didn't have to. She ran a 71 and was still able to get the job done very convincingly in here.
With the win, Daniel Centeno keeping to the inside, hugging that rail and getting the victory. And yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens with Life. I'm not just getting beat, but just did not show up at all in that performance. I know wide early in there. So we'll see what is next for that filly, who was the huge odds-on favorite in that race.
And essentially eased, and she looked like you could see about a half mile from the finish, she was in trouble. She just was kind of toiling there.
And maybe you look for some sort of excuse with that poor of a performance. She'd never really run that badly, that much of a disappointment in any of her prior races. So perhaps something went awry physically. Of course, Todd Pletcher will have to let us know if that was the case, and we'll see what happens with her going forward, but not her day.
Second at Tampa Bay Downs. Our next live action, mile and 40 yards coming up. It's an allowance optional claiming field. 7 will line up. And the current favorite, the 4, Passage of Lines, who's coming off a win for the Jamie Ness barn.
Yeah, Jamie Ness, a trainer that wins at a high percentage, and this horse has already shown an affinity for Tampa Bay Downs with 2 wins, a second and a third from 4 tries.
He's just so consistent. He's been in the money in all 4 of his starts at Tampa so far. He's been the favorite in his last 6 starts. He seems to always show up. I like the 1 a little bit, Impacto. 2 starts ago, running second behind Mish with an 80 buyer speed figure. We saw that horse come back yesterday and finish second in the Pelican.
Jesus Castanon will be aboard, and as you say that, Impacto now becomes the favorite from that inside post. Disappointed next time out. That was a Gulfstream, but a repeat of that December 22nd race could be very tough in this spot. Jason Beam with the second from Tampa Bay.
Waiting for cashier check, Power Humor, and Helium will be all set for a start. Power Humor still a ways away from the gate now, coming back over. Power Humor coming in, Jose Batista, just waiting on former Tampa Bay Derby winner Helium to the outside gate. Helium goes in. They're in the gate. And the race is on. Awesome Flay got away in good order. Impacto toward the inside. Here's Cashier Check coming from out of the pack to come up and chase as those top 3 do battle up front. And behind them, Passage of Lines, Power Humor. They're out together 4th and 5th. So length more back to Epic Luck in the teal colors, who's 6th. And Helium is the early trailer as Impacto makes the front end. Jesus Castanon and Impacto cut the corner, now go almost 2 lengths in front of Awesome Flay in the second position. Another half length back to Passage of Lines, who works down toward the rail, is 3rd after that 23-2 opening quarter mile. Cashier Check is 4th, about 4.5 off the top. It's a length and a half more back to Power Humor. Epic Luck is second last, and Helium still trails. They work their way up the back stretch. On the front end, it's Impacto. The lead is just over a length. Trying to get a little closer there is Awesome Flay, out 3 deep for Cashier Check in 3rd. Passage of Line stays toward the inside 4th as they run toward that far turn. 47-1 the opening half for Impacto, who continues to cruise up top. Impacto in front by 2 to Awesome Flay. Passage of Lines moving up inside of Cashier Check. They're together 3rd and 4th. Trying to launch from the back is Power Humor, and Helium is out of last. Epic Luck now the trailer. Up front, they still got to come catch Impacto. Impacto arrives at the quarter pole. The lead is just over a length. Awesome Flay working hard to try to keep pace with that front runner. Passage of Lines is up to 3rd now, dropping back. Cashier Check up the inside. Epic Luck trying to re-rally. Impacto comes to the furlong grounds. The lead still 2.5 now. Down the outside, Passage of Lines trying to come after Awesome Flay to get up into 2nd. Impacto is still the leader with 100 yards left to go. Passage of Lines up to a clear 2nd. Impacto and Jesus Casadon geared down to win it by 2 in the end. Passage of Lines was 2nd, Awesome Flay 3rd, and 4th went to Epic Luck.
1-4-2 finish. Impacto picks up the 6th win of his career in 12 starts. Nice call, Sarah.
Thanks. This was an aggressive ride, and he actually ended up not going off as your favorite. That went to the number 5 Cashier Check, and it paid off. I mean, he was forwardly placed. He was able to control this race from gate to wire. The consistent Passage of Lines rallying for 2nd, but this race was over from the quarter.
Just got so comfortable on the lead, didn't he? And he won geared down with something else, but this is an ultra consistent type. He just shows up pretty much every single time. I mean, at Tampa, he's really good, and at Gulfstream last time, maybe just a little too tough for him.
Been in the money in 10 and 12, 6 wins now in those 12 starts. To come, Hot Springs, Arkansas, sloppy going to begin their card. We're going to see this trainer in the opener. What a weekend it was a week ago. Mystic Dan taking the Southwest on the road to the Kentucky Derby, and Band of Gold on the road to the Oaks of the Martha Washington, both at big numbers for Kenny McPeak.
Catching Society.
Cybernite has won the National over Tama and Ghana in the Forgo.
Echo Zulu wins the Nature Breeders' Conjunction Series.
Liam's Map, a 2-time Grade 1 winner with 6 consecutive triple-digit buyers, including a 114 to win the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. He's already taking the lead as a sire, with Grade 1 winners Basin, Wicked Whisper, Colonel Liam, and Juju's Map, plus multiple 6-figure yearling sales and 2-year-old sales up to $1.2 million. Proven on the track, proven in the sales ring. Liam's Map, only at Lane's End.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Welcome back to America's Day at the Races here on FS1. We are proudly brought to you by Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. The only way to play the races, as we have horses tacked and ready here in the paddock for today's 4th race, contested over the 9 furlongs. And we'll begin with the horse that projects to be the lone speed in here, and that's number 4, Night Effect, as he was part of the pace going the 1-turn mile last time out with Reddington, who was the favorite that day, and just kind of tired a bit and fading in the stretch. I just feel like today, with no other possible speed, at least on paper, that he's able to sit and get that comfortable trip, and he surely looks like a horse that should handle the stretch out to the 2-turn mile and an 1/8 here. Long, rangy horse, but I will say this, for a speed horse, he is quite relaxed. Not that that's out of character for him. He is very quiet here in the paddock. Now, checking in with a horse who has done quite a bit of running over the past year. That's number 3, Centavo. I gotta say, though, considering the frequent appearances, he looks incredibly healthy here. He's carrying his weight well. I will see what he looks like on the racetrack, but I like what I'm seeing here, though the argument can be made that the 9 furlongs is a question mark. A lot of his better efforts have come around one turn, but I think that many of those came in against tougher company. So a little bit of a softer field here, despite this being a starter allowance. I just feel like a lot of the contenders he meets here midwinter at Aqueduct aren't quite as good as some of the ones he has in the past. So we'll see what Centavo can do getting back around to this trip today, Greg.
Maggie, thanks. He comes in off a win, this 3-horse at 9-1 right now. Mig, he has had a heavy workload of late. It's going to be his 4th race in 42, or sorry, he's had 4 races in the last 42 days.
Yeah, and came off of a year where he had 14 races, and now years ago that wouldn't have been any big deal, but it seems like nowadays horses making more than 10 or 12 starts a year is a lot, Sarah.
It's more of a rarity. We don't see it happen as much that these horses have those frequent trips to the racetrack, but he's sort of held his form, and he's outrun his odds on multiple occasions against tougher horses, as Maggie mentioned. And while he was let go at a huge price last time, maybe he should have never been 29-1 in that race. I feel as though he is a horse that he's just consistent. You know what you're going to get from him. He shows up and he runs his race.
Post parade coming up. We'll kick things off with St. James, who had 3 really strong figures that he ran in the last 2 starts. Has been dismal.
It's just a horse that possesses 0 speed in a race that doesn't have much speed signed on. I think he's a little disadvantaged.
It's one of the main players in the race. Grandpa's kid Lane Luzzy rides.
He's in good form. His last 2 starts running buyers in the low 80s and hitting the board.
Centavo has had that heavy workload coming off that 16 claiming win.
Yeah, but like Sarah said, he's hard knocking, consistent. You know he's going to give you an effort.
Speedster next door in Night Effect, who 2 back, went gate to wire and won by more than 7 lengths.
It actually ran better than expected to finish 4th last time out after setting the pace on January 27th. He could be alone here.
Here's proven. Hope he's coming off a career best effort by far.
Yeah, back-to-back muddy track efforts, and they were both good. It was the mud that aided him.
And Jungfrau 7-1. Ruben Silvera in the irons, 1 for 9, has not hit the board the other 8 starts.
Yeah, another horse that used to have a little bit of speed back in the past, but recently just has not shown any early gate speed whatsoever.
And that horse was actually in against straight maidens. They actually put him in the withers on the Derby Trail, Florida Derby for a little bit. Interesting that they thought he had some talent. Let's go to Jonathan Kinchin for more as we get set for the 4th.
Yeah, Wolfie, the old adage that Richie, I'm sure, can talk about a lot is pace makes the race. And one of my tools I like to look at is Timeform US, where it kind of lets you know what the pace projects to look like in a race. Timeform US suggests that this race, it favors horses on or near the lead. Well, one of those horses is the 4, Night Effect. Night Effect should be out on the front end going a little bit longer, but should be able to get comfortable out there going 1 mile and an 1/8 off of those mile races. The other thing I like about Night Effect is that in those mile races, although this horse was beat last time in the race on January 27th, but did win on January 14th, the fractions of that race were coded in red. On Timeform US, if they're coded in red, it lets you know that the pace was fast. So not only is Night Effect exiting a fast-paced early race in which I think he ran extremely well, now he's going to be in a race where he gets to be comfortable on the front end, on his own on the front end, which I think will carry him to get that 1 mile and 1/8. Back-to-back chalk for me. I promise I'll get more creative later. I'm going to take the 4.
And that becomes your 8-5 favorite in here. This speedster going to try and do it on the front end. Romero Mirage will be aboard, Mig.
It just feels like Romero's going to have the ability to break quietly, put his hands down. He's going to get to kind of ease to the lead. He's not going to have to send him to the front or make him use himself more. And he is coming out of fast-paced races where he fought for a long way with other horses.
And claiming away from Linda Rice is not a move that we usually see a lot of success with, but I thought that he ran well in his last race, and that was a hot pace, as you mentioned, very contentious, and he was still right there at a big price to finish 4th.
Meanwhile, horse is going to be in a different area code early on. Then Night Effect, that's Grandpa's Kid with more. Let's go to Maggie.
Yeah, despite being a horse, Greg, that lacks any early foot, he was full of himself in the preliminaries. He was really tough for his groom to handle in the paddock, kind of running all over him. He was high energy throughout here. So I've seen him before, but not quite as wound up as he has been today. Otherwise, he looks fantastic. I mean, just exudes health, and it's good to see him he's actually improved since moving to Randy's barn with a runner-up effort and a third place last time out. And I do think that the mile and an eighth, despite not necessarily looking like a mile and eighth type of horse, because he does have a lot of that, his pedigree makes him look the way he does, even though Kitten's Joy and Lemon Drop Kid were two horses that excelled at longer distances. They were very round, kind of more shorter coupled, thicker bone types. And that's exactly what he is here. But again, he is high energy today. So I don't know if that might draw him into the race, possibly a little bit more than what we've seen from him in the past. Do want to mention Jungfrau. He's a price in here just because of the equipment that he is wearing. He wore it last time, first off the claim here for Juan Bernardini as well. An extension blinker over his right outside eye, as well as a Halton bit, a pit that I often talk about for horses that want to lug in or out, as well as a burr on that outside right side. So when the rein's pulled on the left, they feel it a bit more, that round disc that has kind of the rubber nodules on the inside of it, so they feel that on their cheek. So obviously a horse that has the propensity to really get out here. I do like him getting back out to 2 turns on this fast racetrack, but I don't know if there is any run left in him, Greg.
All right, Maggie, thanks. Mick, what's that like as a rider? You're Romero Mirage in the 4 Night Effect. You already knew you're going to be speed, but you see the only other speed in the race when you get to the racetrack in the morning scratched out of it.
Oh, you feel elation. You go, great. My job just got even easier. And this horse has enough natural pace. You just want to get away clean. You don't want to stutter step start where you have to kind of squeeze them to get them, because then you could set them off, right? It's like lighting the fuse. You want to break quiet, like a whisper. Boom. Let him float into the first turn.
The 4-horse Night Effect. There he is with Romero Mirage. Should control things early. Can he handle this mile and an eighth as we kick off the Pick 6 on this Sunday card? Chris Griffin, the call.
Ruben Hope and Jungfrau. Jungfrau last low to the outside. And in. All set. They're off. Night Effect gets the first call. It's Night Effect right out to the front and down towards the inside, Grandpa's Kid, but there's no pressure on this leader. Night Effect will get over to the rail. It's Night Effect to take him into that first turn. Jungfrau from the outside draw is going to try and apply some pressure, but it's mild pressure as they're in second. Down towards the inside, Centavo's in third. Orange Cap moving forward. That's Proven Hope. Second to last is Grandpa's Kid with the trailer. St. James. Night Effect has got the lead. It's Night Effect who's up by a half length. A very tight hold on Jungfrau, who's right here from second as they work to the backstretch. 24-3 for the opening quarter mile. The front 2 get away. They're a length and a half now, 2 clear of Centavo, who's back there in third. It's followed by Proven Hope alongside in the orange cap. It's another 2.5. Back to Grandpa's Kid, and still the trailer is St. James. Night Effect has got the lead. It's Night Effect still up by 3/4 of a length. No move yet from Jungfrau, and towards the outside, Proven Hope has now put ahead in front of Centavo, who's going to be in a tight spot here, is in fourth. Towards the back, Grandpa's Kid, and St. James is still the trailer. 49.41 for that half-mile time, and they've got less than a half-mile to go. They turn up the pressure up front. Night Effect tries to kick on. Jungfrau is right there. Here comes a move from Proven Hope. Proven Hope and Heeman Harkey, a 3-wide move. Centavo is just right in behind the pace setters, is sitting in fourth, looking for a seam, and here comes the run from Centavo once they get room. It's Proven Hope to the outside of Night Effect. Losing some ground is Jungfrau from in between horses. Centavo continues to look for a way out, and here's Centavo who's going to tip out 3 wide. Proven Hope has now taken taking the lead. Centavo is cut loose, and Centavo down the center of the racetrack. And here comes Centavo and Kochikaya. It's Centavo who's now sprinting clear. Proven Hope, Night Effect, they are battling on towards the inside. Centavo's trying to put it away. Less than a 16th to go. It is going to be Centavo. Centavo, the longest price on the board, gets the win. Centavo gets it over. A photo with Night Effect. Right there was Proven Hope in 1 minute 52 and 4.
This 6-year-old just continues to be disrespected at the windows. 29-1 in a win last start. Biggest price on the board again today of 14-1. Back-to-back wins.
And what a nice ride. And I'm not going to try to pronounce the name as well.
I think Chris Griffin was excited about this rider.
Absolutely, but what a nice inside-out ride he got. And he's really kind of won with limited opportunities, but he's delivering nice rides. And this is a rider the Cantor Massi's brought from Turkey. He's supposed to be like their Angel Cordero of Turkey.
He was winning more than 240 races a year over there, Goyan Kochikaya. And so, yeah, this is not, even though it's a new face on the circuit, in terms of experience, this is not a new face.
Yeah, no, not at all. Listen, it wound up Night Effect looked like he, was very game. He battled back to be second, but he always looked like he was struggling. Where Centavo, I said to you, Sarah, midway around the front door, and he's getting the trip. He's sitting in behind horses and got that inside-out move.
Exactly, and Youngfro did apply some mild pressure on Night Effect. He got a more aggressive ride from Ruben Silveira towards the outside today, but he was done pretty early on in this race. Night Effect not having enough to hold off Centavo, who got a really great trip.
And I know you like this horse, Centavo, a bit. 14-1 was way too big a price.
And apparently the longest shot in the field as well. He just is so disrespected on the tote board, and this was something that had happened to him in the past. Always sort of that type to outrun his odds, to be a little bit better than you expected, and now 2 back-to-back wins at big prices.
14-1. Big upset in the 4th to kick off the pick 6 as we check it at Oaklawn for the first time. Current odds for their first on the card, maiden special weight to kick things off, 2-turn mile. We talked about Kenny McPeak. He's going to have Canthea in here, who is taking plenty of support, 7-2. Let's check in Hot Springs with Paul LaDuca for more. Hey, Paulie.
Hey, what's up, Greg? How you doing? Excuse me, a little sore throat today. A beautiful, not beautiful day. Again, it's literally has not stopped raining for about, I would say 36 hours, somewhere to that aspect. It's chilly out today too as well. So kudos to these riders, to the horsemen, to the guys that are just sitting outside right now, the security guards, because it is about 22 degrees out and it is raining and it has not stopped. And so we'll get to the first race. If I would put this track condition, it is sloppy. I would put this condition as more soupy than anything else. So I don't know how these horses, they obviously floated the racetrack. So I would think it's, I don't know, I don't really know how it's going to play, to be honest. You see the post braid going through. Chelsea Pier, I thought this filly had a good shot. Arrowgate had a Galileo mare, and I was always under the thought that the Galileos liked a little bit of cut in the ground when it came to turf, and sometimes they do like a muddy racetrack. You saw a Kenny McPeak runner go through. He has 2 in here, or he has 1 in here. He has a couple big shots today. Ruby Queen was 8-5 on the morning line. There's a couple horses here on the stretch out. You have Chelsea Pier and you have Ruby Queen. Which one of these horses will go to the front end? And then you have the 7 out here, Business as Usual for Rudy Brissett, a filly by Vino Rosso. So you have 3-year-olds getting a little bit of weight on some of the 4-year-olds. And then you have the one Happy who's a 5-year-old and is taking money. And when you look at the board, you have 15-1 on the 5, and there's nobody else 6-1 or higher. So, I mean, it's really a tough group to gauge. So when I started looking at the group a little closer, I thought the 2 had a decent shot. And I'm just looking at the tea leaves as a filly by Arrowgate. Now, she's not the biggest filly. She is gray, so she's got her daddy's little coat, but she's out of a Galileo mare. So I'm trying to think that she'll like the mile distance. I do like that Christian Torres is aboard, and Cherie DeVoe usually has her horses ready to go long. I don't understand why Ruby Queen kind of isn't getting bet. You know, I thought the 8-5 in the morning line was kind of okay. Maybe she's a newly turned 3-year-old, and a lot of people are a little worried about that. But we've seen this happen. We've seen a couple of the 3-year-olds beat the older horses, and Ramon Vasquez is very, very aggressive. I would think he's going to try to take this race and at least get to the front end, or at least be forwardly placed. But I just think with the experience, the horse on the outside, I walked in with Rudy on the 7 horse, the trainer, and he kept on telling me, listen, Chad had blinkers on the horse. You know, he had talked to Chad. He said the horse had better focus, or at least showed better early speed. And I think that's what Rudy's trying to get out of the 7. And, you know, last time out, the horse kind of just sort of, it says rallied, but I thought more just sort of plugged along. But I think today with the blinkers back on, the 7 will be a little bit more forwardly placed and can maybe sit in that 3 little slot between the 2 horses that are maybe stretching out in here. So I'll go with business as usual at 4-1, but a wide open race in a, you know, early pick 5, Greg, where Booth in race number 3 is 3-5 on the morning line, is probably going to be the most singled horse in, I would think, the whole sequence in the pick 5 and probably the whole day here at Oaklawn.
All right, Paulie, thanks. Maybe a lean for some of you that are playing, you know, this early pick 4, early pick 5 that starts in this race here coming up. And Meg, Paulie touched on, and he's going with one of the 3-3-year-olds in this race, tackling some older fillies and mares in this spot, but Ruby Queen as well, the 4, one of those 3-year-old fillies.
Well, it's an interesting thing to talk about because it's very early in the year for 3-year-olds to take on older. So there's 2 schools of thought. Maybe they're too young. Like, for instance, Ruby Queen, officially all thoroughbreds turn a year older on New Year's Day. But in actuality, her birthday's in April, so she won't be a full, 36 months old until April. But they've had less opportunities than the older horses, where by this time you go, well, if a 4-year-old hasn't broken their maiden yet, how good are they? They're also getting 8-pound break in the weights compared to their elder rivals because of the age difference.
And I think having that weight allowance sort of evens the playing field a little bit. I'm not a person that really buys into a couple pounds making a huge difference for horses. But when you get into 5, 10, 15, whatever pounds, as far as your riders getting that weight break in terms of the older company, I think it can start to make a difference, especially on forwardly placed horses as well.
5-2 favorite, 4-year-old filly, Canthea for Kenny McPeak, who was just 3rd beaten favorite at this similar level. And then Ruby Queen, it was a very different type of wet track, Mig, but just ran 2nd, beat a half length on the muddy sealed track.
So, yeah, and listen, she's coming out of sprint. She should be forward and off track. Now, if I'm Ron Marquette, I'd probably reach out to somebody like Joey Belmere, who's now a 7-pound apprentice. So he gets in with 117, takes 7 more off. He's got in 110. He's going to get 15 pounds from his elders with a horse stretching out with speed. Catch me.
Matt Dinnerman, the call. Here's the opener from Oaklawn.
Straightening out Happy Happy. Happy Happy went back out, now reloads. Looks like we're ready. We're off and running at Oaklawn Park. Happy Happy off slowly from the inside. The first-time starter, Marisol Sugar, away alertly and also showing the most speed here. Ruby Queen takes the 2nd spot with business as usual. Chelsea Pier 4th in the early part. Rides the rail into the clubhouse turn. Canthea alongside of her. A gap of 3 to Happy Happy. Haunted Dream, the long shot, has been passed and drops to the back early on. Around the clubhouse turn, Marisol Sugar finds herself in front. Leads by a length and a half. Ruby Queen down on the inside, running in 2nd. Business as usual, parked outside of her. A gap of 2 to another pair. Canthea outside of Chelsea Pier. They're 4 lengths clear of Happy Happy and Haunted Dream. Still the trailer, a distant one at that. Down the backstretch, a strung out group is being led by the firster, Marisol Sugar. who goes off at 6-1 here. Marisol Sugar, a length and a half in front. Business as usual, still second with Ruby Queen. They've been traveling together the whole way around. Happy Happy makes an early move. She's in the 3 path, but begins to pass runners. Happy Happy trying to catch that front runner around the turn as Ruby Queen has lost position in 4th under pressure. Chelsea Pier, 5th on the rail, is 7 lengths to make up. Canthea's dropped out of it. She calls it a day. Haunted Dream, well out of it. They hit the quarter pole. Marisol Sugar has a quarter mile more to go and leads by 2. Happy Happy in the 2nd spot. Business as usual rides the rail off the turn. The others are well behind the front running Marisol Sugar, who's turning it on with a furlong to go. Marisol Sugar by 4. In 2nd, Happy Happy. And then comes Chelsea Pier into 3rd with a 16th to go. Marisol Sugar's won it. Marisol Sugar over Happy Happy. Chelsea Pier 3rd home. Business as usual was 4th.
The only first-time starter in the field. What a debut here. First time out the win for the John Ortiz barn, and Keith Asmussen in the irons.
Really good job by John Ortiz to have a first-time starter ready to win, going a mile first time out, and she just was decidedly best. Keith Asmussen's been on a roll. He really got hot over the last week.
He's had some good rides, some smart rides as well, and this was one of them. This horse maybe tipped her hand in the morning a little bit, coming in with a big bullet workout into this race. Best of 63, 4 furlongs in 48 flat, and maybe showing that she was going to display some of that early speed once she got to the races.
First time out win, Marisol Sugar on this sloppy going out in Hot Springs. Well, the prices when we come back. Manny Franco said her trainer had her ready to roll in the Heavenly Prize. That's Brittany Russell. What a claim for $20,000. Now she has won nearly 3 stakes in a row. Just missed 2 back. Back with you on our FS1 coverage on this Sunday afternoon, America's Day at the Races. Good to have you with us. Grandpa's Kid, Centavo at 14-1 after a 29-1 win back-to-back. So 2 big upset scores. And Napal Chatterball Barn has this one going in the right direction.
Got to save all that ground, Sarah, before he found the seam, angled out to the clear. You know, the riding style's a bit different, but it's effective. He's busy on a horse. Tactically, He rode a terrific race here, and Centavo is in really good form.
He is, and I was mad that I let him get away from me at 29-1 last time. Thankfully, did not do the same today. But this was a great ride by Gökhan Koçakaya, and a rider that we aren't as familiar with here. But as we were touching on, he's had plenty of success in his native country of Turkey before coming over here.
3, 4, 6, 1. Big upset in the 4th. We'll get to the late pick 5 coming up. Going to take a look back at the stakes from Saturday in the Heavenly Prize that we showed you on the program yesterday. And what a claim this has been for Brittany Russell. Claim for $20,000. Now 2 stakes wins the last 3 starts with a narrow defeat to comparative in the ladies. Again here, Manny Franco said he just, as you say often, pushed early, tried to make somebody else go in this race. Nobody did, so he said, I'll just do it on the front end.
She just got so comfortable. She was doing it so nicely, well framed up within herself and kicked on. And what a nice claim. And you know, Mike Ryan, her owner, one of the foremost bloodstock agents in the world, has got himself a really nice mare here. And Comparative really they complemented each other, right? Comparative going to Oaklawn and winning the stake there last Friday.
And Manny Franco was aboard Comparative when they met in the ladies here at Aqueduct in January. And maybe I thought it was an overconfident ride by Sheldon Russell on Saddle Up Jesse, but seeing Comparative come back to win maybe flattered her form a little bit. She just got beat by a better rival. Manny Franco up for this race, had her a little bit more forward, had her in the game a little bit more. She was also cutting back slightly in distance, and it ended up paying off. She won very easily.
And look, when she was claimed back in early January 2023, she deserved to be in that 20 maiden claiming race. This has been a complete turnaround for this mare.
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, we would be remiss not to mention Brittany Russell, leading trainer in Maryland last year, the first female trainer to lead the standings in Maryland, it's been a hotbed of tremendous horsemen and riders for many years.
Absolutely. So a big accomplishment for her. And I know Maggie interviewed her assistant trainer yesterday, who's had a lot of the responsibility put on her to take care of this horse here at Aqueduct. So great job by the whole team to have this one ready for that victory yesterday.
So many great stories with female trainers making impact in the sport. I mean, obviously Jenna Antonucci breaking new ground, winning a Triple Crown event in the Belmont Stakes. Linda Rice, what she accomplished, setting a new record for wins on the circuit. But Brittany Russell, yeah, right up there as well.
And the highlight for me yesterday was Logan in
Yes.
the winner's circle, man. What
The
a smile on that
enthusiasm.
little kid.
5th race here in New York, 7/8 of a mile. New York Bred's first allowance condition, and this is Fortune's Nephew, 8-5 favorite. Let's head downstairs to Maggie.
Yeah, getting back to Logan, Emma Wolf, Brittany Russell's assistant. He is with her every time that they run a horse up here, and just so enthusiastic and loves the racing. And I've never seen that kid look upset. Always has a smile on his face. As we'll take a look here at Fortune's Nephew, people can't get enough of this horse as he has been favored now, and I think looks to be post-time favorite here for all 5 of his races. He's only been able to deliver on one of them, as he did finally break his maiden after many breaks, too. So now he's 3rd off the layoff and managing to pair, finally, races back-to-back. Now, what I see from him physically kind of represents his form, right? He's a horse that obviously works incredibly well in the morning, lights up the racetrack, must do it quite easily, and is big and strapping and imposing. Those types don't tend to take care of themselves as well. So obviously that is why there are many breaks in the form. But usually once you get them past a certain point, then they actually become sounder and they don't have to deal with many of those development type of issues that you'll run into when they're younger. Look, I feel as though he has to face some other speed types of horses, including Please Be Nice, as well as P-Money possibly. I don't think his job gets any easier here. I will say that I kind of gained a bit of respect because I thought he ran well in defeat last time, because he broke a little bit flat-footed from the inside and just stayed on well while down on the rail throughout the running of that race. We'll see what he does here. I like what I'm seeing from him, but I have in every other start too, and I just feel like taking a short price on him, often, as he's proven, isn't the way to go. Now, number 5, Please Be Nice. He's going to try to get back on track. a horse that showed a lot of promise in the debut over a year ago for the Bill Mott barn. Now, he'll add blinkers now in his 4th career start, just a very short cup cheater blinker, and he looks incredibly fit. I was not in the paddock for that January 13th effort, so can't really compare first versus second off the layoff, but he looks ready to go here. He has not grown at all. You know, you'd like to see some development from 3 to 4, and there really hasn't been any of that. And 2, the blinkers going on, I think makes sense. Where 10 Cent Town wired the field, he tried to chase on the outside, but as soon as somebody else came to him, he threw in the towel and waved a white flag. So maybe the blinkers make him a little less intimidated today, but still, he's one that I can't take at a short price either, Greg.
Maggie, thanks. 7-2 on the 5. Please be nice. Who won first time out with a decent figure in the debut and then just has gone backwards ever since.
Boy, that first race, you thought, man, he's just going to continue on, and it's been a backward slide his next 2 starts.
And maybe the excuse of the layoff last time, a horse that we hadn't seen in 11 months, but he also is now adding the blinkers, and this is not a move that Bill Mott does often or has much success with. First-time blinkers, non-maidens, 2 for 26, 8%, 63-cent ROI past 5 years. It's not something he goes to as a solution for his horses that often and then really doesn't have much success with.
You wonder, Meg, too, he was quick in that debut and showed speed. He was on the lead. We haven't seen him on the lead the next couple of starts since, but the blinkers on, is that maybe to try and get some of that speed back?
You'd have to think that's what they, had success doing. Wouldn't you try to go back to that, particularly with the addition of blinkers? And sometimes first-time starters break running. They hit the front, they almost run scared.
Here's Dr. Kraft going to kick things off in the post spray. Trevor McCarthy back aboard, just missed by a neck at this condition last start.
This was a horse that last time you wanted him at a big price, never should have been that price. Speed from the inside.
Fortune's nephew, he broke his maiden at this distance, 2 starts back.
He was inside speed last out, wasn't the sharpest out of the gate, now going to be in the middle of 2 speeds.
Here's the Bill Mott 4-year-old that we just talked about. Please be nice.
Yeah, showed a lot of speed on debut, adds blinkers. You'd have to think they're trying to revert to those tactics.
9-2 Kaz Sugarbank.
The closer in a race laden with a lot of forwardly placed types.
And P Money has shown turf sprint speed. How quick's he going to be out of the gate?
Yeah, he didn't show any of that kind of speed in his first 2 starts on the dirt. Is this Bob Caceres starting to think ahead, get a race into him because turf isn't that far away, really, about 6 weeks?
I don't want to completely discount his chances, though. I mean, he really did perk up on the grass, but it also could have been that he was developing more and improving as a horse overall. He's fast.
5-1 right now. 4 minutes away from the start of the late pick 5. Let's go back to Jonathan.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the 2 in here. The 4 Fortune's nephew makes a lot of sense off of that last effort, the last couple of efforts, actually. But it just something about it. If we can get the 2, Dr. Kraft, to kind of run that number that he ran last time, I do think that he could be extremely dangerous. He was close enough to the pace, stayed connected, and then finished like a horse that wants to go 7 furlongs. A lot of times with these horses that have some of the nice numbers going 6, I like to look at the pace figures to see kind of how they're dispersing their speed throughout that race. And the 4 Fortune's nephew just feels like a horse that might not want to go that far. I do understand that they got the win 2 back going 7, but I don't love the way that race was run. Okay, faster early, and then that last furlong was just kind of slowing down and kind of just got there, but basically got there because no one came and got him. I'm going to go to the inside, the 2, Dr. Kraft, to get the 7 furlongs.
JK, as we'll take a look at him on the racetrack, liked him more once he stepped foot and commenced his warm-up because he was very quiet, just kind of meh in the paddock. And then he emboldened himself once Trevor McCarthy got onto his back, moving well, warming up well out there today. Now, he's going to try the 7 furlongs again here. I don't necessarily have a problem with that because he ran well in both of his starts at the trip. But I still question how far he ultimately really truly does want to go here. A little bit more of a shorter coupled type overall. Now, we'll take a look at number 6 in here, Kaz Sugarbank, who's going to be my selection, actually. And he, at the very least, has been consistent. Now, he's a horse that does not have much early speed, but there were fast paces in his last 2 efforts. He was able to close and, run respectably well. I don't know if we're going to see a super fast pace here, but I do think there's some horses that could do some hitting up front, and I think the 7 furlongs actually complements him. A little bit of a longer, kind of rangier frame to him, looks excellent in his coat, warming up well out there too. And getting back to the favorite with Fortune's Nephew too, who looks spectacular on the track. I mean, even looks better on the track than what he did in the paddock. I do want to say this about him. You know, as I mentioned, he was a beaten favorite, and it's not like he's been beaten by eventual stakes winners. It'd be one thing if he was upset by a horse who went on to do really well. Yeah, they're solid New York breds, but it's not like he's being beaten by any superstars. So again, I don't know about taking a very short price on him, Greg. I'm going to opt with a bit of a better price at 7-2 on Cash Sugar Bank.
All right, Maggie, thank you. Minute to post here coming up to kick off this late pick 5. So Fortune's Nephew holding as the favorite. This horse has been favored every single time he's gone to post now in his 5th career start.
And he's run well in every start. And, you know, even though he only has the 1 win to show for 2 seconds, a third, I, wound up on the same horse Maggie did, the 6 Cash Sugar Bank, because I just thought there's a potential for all the other horses that are contenders have a similar style, and they have to respect each other and take each other seriously. And that's when you get contested paces.
And I see what you're saying with him. He makes sense as sort of the horse who looks to get the setup. My problem with him is that he's gotten some fast paces to close into in his last couple of races and hasn't really been able to seal the deal. It seemed as though those races set up well for him, yet he wasn't able to get the win in there. And even though this race on paper looks to set up the same way, I don't really necessarily trust him to get the win, though he's been consistent and does have the running style for this race. I went to a horse that is a little bit of a wild card, and I think it's one that they're not going to take seriously, or one that they're going to be as respectful of when he is possibly the horse that ends up being the speed of the speed, if that turf sprint speed can translate, and that's P Money. He's a big price, and I think that some of the other speed type horses won't expect him to go on with it if he does make the front.
Well, you make a good point. If they see him be aggressive and he goes, they go, do I want to get engaged with him? Because I don't think, they're going to look at the way I am, saying, well, his dirt form is, his turf form was better. I just think that maybe Cash Sugar Bank 7 furlongs is going to be the key. 6 furlongs maybe a little too sharp. The 2 turns, mutes his late run a little bit. 7/8, what I like to say, the Goldilocks effect could be just right.
That's the 6th horse. Who's a 5-time winner. 2nd start of the year coming up, but the favorite, Dr. Kraft, 31-1 last time out, just missed. Did all the dirty work up front and then got beat by a horse who got a terrific setup. Now a much shorter price co-favorite as we get set for the late pick 5. Let's go upstairs. Chris Griffin to kick things off.
P Money to the outside. And in. All set. And they're off. Slight bobble there at the start for Please Be Nice, but did break with early speed. It's Please Be Nice who's now in front. Down towards the inside, there comes Dr. Kraft, who's going to track in 2nd. Moving towards the outside, Fortune's Nephew. It's Please Be Nice who's in front. Towards the back end, Cash Sugar Bank with P Money, and they are tightly bunched. 2 lengths to cover them all. On the front end, it's Please Be Nice who's got the lead. Is up by 3/4 of a length. A very tight hold on Fortune's Nephew, and Kendra Carmouche just stalking the pace setter, went 23-4 for that opening quarter mile. Fortune's Nephew is right up alongside Please Be Nice. There's still 1-2, and here's P Money out in the center of the racetrack is taken 3rd as Dr. Kraft is to the inside and 4th. The Triller, Cash Sugar Bank. Fortune's Nephew now puts ahead in front and just does it easily. Please Be Nice is back to second, now back to third, gets passed by P Money. Dr. Kraft from in between horses. Here comes Dr. Kraft with the move from fourth as Fortune's Nephew is trying to fend him off, approaching the quarter pole. The trailer is Cash Sugar Bank. They approach a quarter mile left to go. 47-4 was that half mile time. Fortune's Nephew now straightens up and kicks for home. It's Fortune's Nephew towards the inside. P Money is ready to pounce, and here's the run from Dr. Kraft on the grandstand side, also joined by Cash Sugar Bank. Fortune's Nephew trying to gut it out and finding more. Fortune's Nephew, here comes Cash Sugar Bank from way out of it. Cash Sugar Bank and Fortune's Nephew. Dr. Kraft in between horses. Cash Sugar Bank on the outside. It's Cash Sugar Bank who gets up. Cash Sugar Bank got up there in the final stages. Then give a photo there. Fortune's Nephew and an oncoming Dr. Kraft. A little awkward there at the finish. Final running time, 1 minute 25.59 seconds.
Cash Sugar Bank kicks into gear late here for the sixth win of this 5-year-old's career, in last at this point. Good call, Ming.
Yeah, I mean, I think the 7/8 just was what he needed to get it done. You know, sometimes 6 furlongs are a little too sharp. Then the going 2 turns mutes their late run, but it wasn't as much pace on as I thought there was going to be, Sarah. Everybody kind of broke and kind of was looking at each other, other than Manny Franco on Please Be Nice. He had no run whatsoever. I mean, he just completely tossed it. You're going to see the 4-horse here, Fortune's Nephew. I think he takes a step out, and watch when Kendrick's got to correct him. You see him toss his head a little bit, but I think he realized if he didn't correct him at that point, he was going to broadside number 2, Dr. Kraft, and then you're going to get disqualified anyway. So sometimes you got to take some preventive measures as well.
And he knew that he wasn't winning the race by that point anyway. I think that he was just trying to keep his horse moving forwards as best he could. You saw him swap back to that inside lead, maybe off balance a little bit. He's going to drift out, as we see, and take that awkward step. Kendrick doing the best that he can to keep his horse straight, keep his horse moving forward. But I think that he also knew there were horses coming to his outside.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But, you know, I know some people will watch this replay and say, well, Kendrick, you know, he grabbed his horse. It cost me second.
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't. And at the same time, he was also doing what he needed to do to correct his horse from taking a drastic step to the outside.
5-2 in the end on Cash Sugar Bank. It was 6-1 morning line. 6, 2, 4, 7. We'll have these prices coming up. New York Racing Association is mourning the passing of a part of its family this weekend. Nancy Kelly, a former NYRA employee and Vice President of Development for the Grayson Jockey Club Research Foundation, spent a lifetime raising money for equine research and individuals in need in the thoroughbred industry. She passed away Friday after a battle with ovarian cancer. She was universally respected and admired in the industry, always holding a deep appreciation for the backstretch community, serving in a variety of key roles in the creation and development of organizations like the Belmont Child Care Association and New York Racetrack Chaplaincy. Nancy Kelly had been battling cancer since early 2019. She was 71 years old.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings no matter where you are with NYRA Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with NYRA Bets.
Your guide to selecting a stallion for your mare. Step 1. Make sure he's won a big, famous race.
This big guy charges away and takes the Dubai World Cup.
Step 2. He'd better be very good looking. Step 3. He must have excited the support of breeders with quality mares. mystic guide. He's unmissable. Call Darley.
Thoroughbred racing is taking vital steps to make our sport safer. These include the use of independent veterinarians, strict anti-doping and medication controls, and a single national authority empowered to create uniform standards and enforce reforms. With each step, more data is gathered, accountability demanded, and progress made as safety takes the lead. Visit ntra.com/safety for more.
I used to play baseball, but I didn't see myself growing up much, so I decided to quit and just finish school.
Growing up in Puerto Rico, Christian Torres would watch television with his grandpa and cousins, which would eventually influence what sport he'd pursue.
I decided to be a jockey when I was, I can say like 10 years old, because I grew up around horses and animals in Puerto Rico. And I grew up watching races with my grandfathers, and they used to take me to the racetrack too. I fell in love with it.
Christian moved to Orlando with his family to attend high school before moving back to Puerto Rico to attend the jockey school.
But I was in the exercise rider program. I wasn't like in the jockeys. They have the exercise rider and jockeys program.
Unfortunately, Hurricane Maria complicated those plans.
And I entered the exercise riders program each year. And that was when Hurricane Maria hits Puerto Rico, and I didn't finish it because the racetrack, we couldn't do anything.
Christian has had his patience tested with all the detours that have included stops in Pennsylvania working as an exercise rider for 2 years.
Yeah, it's been a rough trip, but it's been worth it.
He'd win his first race in April of 2019 at Gulfstream Park. 2 months later, Christian's grandparents and cousins visiting from Puerto Rico watched him win in the United States for the first time, wearing t-shirts with his picture on the front and our champion written on the back. Torres closed out 2022 with a bang.
And now, returning to the Larry Snyder Winner's Circle, jockey Christian Torres.
He was the leading rider in 2 states, Arkansas and Oklahoma, helping him win Jockey of the Week honors.
We've watched this guy for a little while, and he's a good young kid and a good attitude. He's got a bright future ahead of him.
On December 17th, Torres rode at Oaklawn during the day, and that night he won a stakes race on the closing day at Remington to wrap up his first riding title.
Flew to Oklahoma, rode over there at night, came back the same night. It was really tough, but it was worth it. We got 2 wins here, 1 win over there. I love everything. I love the atmospheres, I love the track, I love the people. Since the first day that I got here, I just fell in love, and I love it.
Oaklawn's 22 and 23 meet will especially be memorable for Christian and his longtime girlfriend, Valerie. They were married on Valentine's Day in Hot Springs with their daughter, Ainoa, by their side.
With everything that is happening now, I'm just very blessed.
Talk about a rapid ascension in this sport. Christian Torres, he just started riding as he's leading the way at this current meet in 2019. And last year, he became the fastest jockey in this track's history to reach $1 million in purse earnings in just the 11th day of the meet.
He's accomplished a lot in a very short period of time, and he got off to actually a slow start at this Oaklawn meeting. I think he was like 2 for 39 or something, but all of those horses that he was running second and third on just started winning, and he's just been riding in great form.
We'll see him on She's Storming in this upcoming race. Second choice right now on 2-1 on the board. Paulie, what do you think of her chances?
Well, I think she's got a big shot in this race. There was a ton of scratches in this race that impacted, I think, a lot of the horses in here. And I think that's why the public has kind of landed on the 10, because when you look at kind of the pace of this race, the 10 has showed speed against $50,000 claimers and some open company, where a lot of these other horses really haven't shown that kind of pace. Now, Christian will be aboard She's Storming in here. And, this filly by Hightail, she's 2 for 10 lifetime. she's shown some speed in the past, but she also shown that she can come from off the pace. Kylie Jordan, been her a regular rider. Right now, she's just on the sidelines, and hopefully she gets back soon. So Christian will take over the piloting here for Michael Hewitt. And yeah, I think she's got a shot in here just because of the scratches. You know, the 10 Punchy Girl, like I said, both wins here at Oaklawn Park. Randy Morse having a tremendous meet. And like I said, you know, she had speed, and she's been out of Arkansas bred company. And you go back and you look when she was under Jason Barkley's care, you know, she had won some races showing speed. And I just think that she's the one that they're going to have to catch here at 6-5. I do think the 7 Navigational Beacon for Melton Wilson, this mare by Prom Shoes, who's by Include, very good sloppy influence. I thought had a really good shot here. Maybe a little bit last time out, did not like the inside. And again, another horse is, I know it's been in cheaper company at 75 non-winners of 3, but those are against Open. So back in the Arkansas bred company, I thought this horse at 6-1 was the other one in here. I just really think the 10's going to be tough in here, and I'll just give the 7 a little bit of a look in here, Gregor.
Thanks, Paulie. Yeah, even money made on Punchy Girl, who a couple of years ago looked like she was very talented, won that state-bred Rainbow Miss Stakes at Oaklawn, but not quite panned out maybe what they thought she could become. But still, it looks like against this field, she's going to be very tough.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, then you've got the 8, She Stormy, also won that same race the following year, right? And actually, I was there. Kylie Jordan won a race for her dad and then got dumped pulling up and dislocated her shoulder. And she was getting out of the ambulance, and she was more mad about the fact that she didn't get back in time to get on the horse for the picture. Kind of a typical jockey's warrior's mentality.
Absolutely, and I remember seeing the outrider come up to her and kind of have to help her off the horse after she won. So really riding through the finish, even with that dislocated shoulder.
Even money on the 10. Punchy Girl, 2-1 on She's Storming with Christian Torres, leading rider at the meet on this wet track in Hot Springs. Let's go to Matt Dinnerman for the call.
The outside, Punchy Girl. Punchy Girl. One back. We're ready to go. And we're off. Thursday morning gets the first call, broke alertly. Navigational Beacon has speed as well. Punchy Girl on the far outside getting into it. She's Stormy in the orange, not far off either. Punchy Girl comes out of that pack to take the lead, clears off, gets towards the rail, shows the way, a length and a tail, now 3/4 of a length. More music right behind, moves up on the inside to claim second and tries to move forward, but there's not enough room to come through. So Punchy Girl's going to open up here, a length and a half in front. Navigational Beacon joins War Music. They're side by side at joint second. She's Storming in the 3-path, joining that pair. And we come back in the group here to Thursday morning. Looks like the riders lost the irons there on Thursday morning. Took a little bit of a funky step and is losing position. Being passed now by a couple of runners. Shut Up Please, who has a lot of ground to make up, and Jerry Don as they come down the stretch. Punchy Girl alone on the lead. The margin's about 2 lengths here. She's Storming, chasing in second with determination. Punchy Girl keeps going strong, and she's got plenty left for this final 16th. And she looks like a winner, and she's going to be. It's Punchy Girl opening up, and Punchy Girl at 4-5 wins it convincingly. War Music was second home over She's Storming, and then Shut Up Please was fourth.
Punchy Girl, big favorite with the win. Randy Morse having a nice meet.
Been a real nice meet. Punctual winner here, Rafael Bejarano, and the Rainbow Miss of 2022. Coming back to that form a little bit, right?
Sure. I mean, that's a little bit of a stretch, but able to get the win in here, and she looked like she was going to be in front and alone doing so on paper. It took her a moment to secure that position, but once she did, you kind of knew that this race was in her hands to win or lose, and she won.
Long way back to second, and it's the 4 War Music now dueling She's Storming for the place spot. This Punchy Girl gets the victory. Back to New York. Kicking off the late pick 5, Kaz Sugarbank, Jomar Torres, off at 5-2.
And this was a horse that it looked as though things were going to set up for him in terms of dynamics of this race on paper, but there wasn't quite as much speed as we maybe anticipated. A couple of riders not wanting to go push that early tempo, and it was Manny Franco with the number 5, Please Be Nice, who was intent on setting the pace, but this one still had enough of a setup to be able to rally towards the outside in that clean outside position, able to go by those other horses with that forward position.
Dr. Kraft has to settle for second. Fortune's Nephew third. 6-2, 4-7, 5-2 with Kaz Sugarbank. Early pick 5. Over $5,800 as the late sequence begins in this race. Up next, late pick 4, and it's a maiden special weight. Everyone look at that for that first career win on the resume here coming up. 6.5 furlong sprint. And Sarir, short price favorite in the debut for the very dangerous Wesley Ward with his youngsters. See if this one can put forth a better effort today. Right now, 5-1. Let's go to Maggie.
5 first-time starters bookended by 2 second-time starters. We'll focus in on the debuters here. And, of course, as I got the feeling I would think this, the horses that I didn't necessarily like on paper, given pedigrees, given workouts, I like most here in the paddock. So let's start by talking about them. Including number 5, Stamp of Approval. She sold for $250,000 as this daughter of Nyquist. The dam was 0 for 4. The 3/4 sibling didn't make any noise necessarily in one start, but the dam is half to multiple graded stakes, synth/synth turf winner. Stamp of Approval, she worked 10-1 at the OBS sales. That's almost a year ago, but it does give you an indication of what they might want to do. And in that workout, she did present herself as a dirt sprinter. She looks great here. She looks exactly like she should. Being a daughter of Nyquist, she's a little bit more compact, a little bit more stout, really strong hindquarters, and is fit and professional. My main problem with her, and it could be a moot point, in that her workmate, at least based upon lining up the workouts, yesterday's stress reliever was not very good in a New York bred maiden special weight. So I don't really know how to take it, but I do like what I'm seeing from her so far in the prelims. As number 6, Music Melody, while she goes out for Potent Connections in Brad Cox, there's really not much pedigree to report home on, as Mendelssohn seems to do better with his distance type of runners on the main track. The dam did win a lower level dirt sprint, and this is her first full. She's a tank, though, this filly. I mean, she's solid. She gives off the appearance that she should be quick, despite having slower type workouts, at least on her form. But she's drawn more towards the outside. I would not be surprised if we see her in the mix early on here. We'll see if she has anything left in the tank, though, in the latter stages, as she does look as though maybe a start would be beneficial looking at her fitness. And now we'll take a look at one of two for Mike Maker. Number 2, Yay Hooray, is taking the most money of that duo, currently at 4-1, comes in here off the back of a quick gate drill over the training track in a minute flat. Daughter of Malibu Moon. The dam handled all 3 surfaces, though the lone win did come on the synthetic, but she's a half to multiple graded stakes winner, super hoity-toity, who won on the synthetic and turf. It's a little bit more of a turf pedigree, at least on the bottom side, albeit the most successful foals being by Uncle Mo. She does not look necessarily overly turf meant here in the paddock. A lot of size to her. Little concerned that she might want a little bit more ground looking at her physical makeup, but I will say this, she is sharp, she is on the muscle for this debut, and comes in here looking fit. Greg?
Maggie, thanks. As you said, one of 2 first-time starters in this field for trainer Mike Maker. As the taco lady next door, that 3-horse. Here's another first-timer for one of the best barns in the game. Chad Brown, he was a finalist again last year for Outstanding Trainer. Eyeing another big year with just reload for that barn. See if he can get a win with a first-timer Stamp of Approval coming up here in the 6th. Back with you on America's Day at the Races on our FS1 coverage. It's brought to you in part by Hillendale at Alapa. We get set for the 6th coming up. Start of a pick 4 here at Aqueduct. 6.5 furlong sprint in this maiden special weight. And this is one of just 2 with experience in the race. Wesley Ward filly, second-time starter Sarir.
Took all the money on debut. Uncharacteristically broke a step slow for Wesley Ward, but ran okay.
Into the first-timers. Here's Yay Hooray for Mike Maker.
Big 5 furlong bullet work coming into this race.
Same barn with the Taco Lady and Trevor McCarthy aboard.
Yeah, this is out of a mare that has produced 2 first-time starter winners, including Blue Gator, who's the New York Bred Stakes winner.
Dylan Davis on a first-timer, Luminique.
A little bit more of a turf pedigree on the dam side for this one.
One of the top barns in the country, especially with this ownership group, Klarovich Stables. Chad Brown with stamp of approval.
Yeah, comes in for a couple of good gate works, taking money. Maybe a little cold for Chad Brown first, though.
Another big barn here, Brad Cox with Music Melody debuting, daughter of Mendelssohn.
Dangerous connections, but nothing necessarily special about this one on paper coming in.
And the other filly with experience, and she showed some good speed in that debut for Charlie Baker, daughter of Time.
Yeah, really good speed and took all money on debut as well. Went off as a favorite. Could take a step forward off of that. Charlie Baker's been uncharacteristically cold so far this winter.
4 minutes to post here in the 6th. Let's go to Jonathan for more.
Yeah, look, I mean, it makes a ton of sense when you have this horse like Charlie Baker taking money, Chad Brown's horse, stamp of approval taking money. But I'm going to go a little bit of a connections route here with the 2, Yay Hooray. I think most will remember looking at those silks. Pura Vida Investments, they had rhyme schemes last year, who was a successful 2-year-old, unfortunately got hurt. But one of the main people, or the main person that buys horses for Pura Vida is Deuce Greathouse. And Deuce, known for picking out Tepin and a ton of other really good horses. I'm just going to go with the fact that this one was part of that good group of 2-year-olds that just maybe had some issues, now shows up here as a 3-year-old, taking a little bit of money on the board. And look, you just never know what you're going to get with these first-time starters. And without having a lot to go on with the 5 or the 7, give me the 2. Give me a shot there, Mags.
Okay, JK. Isaac Castillo, my hat's off to you. She has been a handful since stepping foot on the racetrack. Yay, hooray. She reared up. She didn't want to go with the pony. Then luckily Isaac was able to get his feet in the irons, because then she wheeled around and took off. I mean, virtually bordering on running off to the post. Now he's kind of gotten that excited energy out of her, has kicked his feet out of the irons. I don't love to see that, but it's also an indication that she should be quick if she behaves herself at the gate. Now, taking a look at Mike Maker's other horse, that's the Taco Lady. I kind of liked her, as Meg brought up, the pedigree, the precocious pedigree, and I didn't mind her workout at Fasig-Tipton. She wasn't asked much at all. It was a slow work. It was 10-4, and she moved a little bit like a turf horse, so maybe there's the turf option. But she is well prepared, and she's fairly aggressive, too. I just thought she was a little bit interesting / I love her name. I'm a Taco Lady myself. Let's take a look at the ones who have experience. Sarir, she did not break well in that debut. I'm hoping she breaks better today, because I'm ultimately going to land on her because I was pushed off the favorite a little bit, and I'll get to her in a moment. But Sarir, I was not in the paddock for the debut. She was wired by Reconcile that day, who came back to complement the form, running second in the extra heat with a 78 buyer. Dorothy's Dreams came back to win as well. She comes in here. She's well-muscled. She's very fit. And Wesley, despite being known for his firsters, he does strike with a lot of his second-time starters as well. Now, Daughter of Time, she didn't switch her leads in the stretch. Now, it could have been fatigue. It could have been greenness. She is very small and petite. It does go with the bloodline, as not this time do tend to run on the smaller side. But I was just hoping for a little bit more, to be honest. She's fit. She's behaving well. I just thought there were better looking options from the physical perspective in this field. I get where she can win. I like the fact that she's drawn towards the outside, but I ultimately went to Sarir in here, guys, as this is a fairly interesting field. I can't really get a real concrete feeling on anybody, to be honest.
Yeah, look, we look at the 2 with experience. Charlie Baker the fact that this filly went off as a favorite first time out. Obviously, there was a little bit of buzz about this filly. And then the Wesley Ward filly in the rail, even money favorite in that debut. We expect those Wesley Ward runners to show speed out of the gate, especially in those debuts. She did not.
It's unusual to see a Wesley Ward firster that takes money, not break sharp, right? And this one didn't. So she made mistakes. Obviously, there's improvement there. Daughter of Time, horses that take money on debut, it's because they've shown speed in the morning. You know, the horses that'll fool you are the ones that are slow but really finish, closing types. In the morning, they'll never dazzle you.
And she did show speed in her first race. She was kind of in that in-between horses, uncomfortable type of position, put away the horse to her inside, but couldn't hold off ones coming from off the pace. With Sarir, she was firing bullet workouts at Keeneland as well as Turfway going into that debut. They've eased off a little bit, the workouts, since that race. She hasn't been going quite as quickly in the morning time since her first effort, and I wonder what that might indicate. Perhaps maybe just going a little bit slower, not trying to get her cranked up coming into this race, as she didn't break that well first time out. But I always look at that as kind of a negative when they've been so quick in the morning and they haven't come back with that.
Wait, like you said, though, it could be by design. That's why I tend to judge works more on spacing of works than times of works, because you just don't know exactly what the intentions were or the thought process from the trainer being. But you make a good point, especially a horse that had shown speed in other early trials. I wish Yay Hooray was acting a little better. I wound up picking her, I think, a lot like Jonathan, just her pedigree. The mare has had 3 starters. All 3 are winners.
That's the 2 in here, 1 of 2 for the Mike Maker barn. But it's the 2 with experience. Top 2 choices on the board, inside and out. Sarir, the 1, Daughter of Time, the 7. We're set for the 6. Let's go upstairs. Chris Griffin, the call.
Time to the outside. And it. All set. And they're off. Daughter of Time has early speed to the outside, and at the rail, there's Sarir. And Sarir now puts a length on the field, and Music Melody is going to secure second as to the outside of Yay Hooray. In between horses comes Stamp of Approval is in 4th. Daughter of Time is back to 5th. Towards the back end, the Taco Lady, and the trailer is Luminique. On the front end, Sarir has got the front end, is up by a full length. Right towards the outside here is Music Melody is in 2nd. At the rail is Yay Hooray. In between horses, Stamp of Approval starts to make up some ground, is taken 4th, and Daughter of Time is still wide, 22 and 4 for that opening quarter mile. Moving in closer is the Taco Lady, and still Luminique is far back. On the front end, Sarir has got the front end. It's still Sarir with the head in front. Here comes Music Melody, who's ready to challenge in between horses in the 2-path. 3 wide is Daughter of Time, and Daughter of Time is making a move now. 3 across the racetrack here as they approach a quarter mile left to go. 46 and 4 the half-mile time, and Daughter of Time is now cut loose. Music Melody goes right with her, and these two start to sprint away together. It's Daughter of Time lugging in just a touch. Music Melody is a clear second, continues to battle on inside the final furlong. Daughter of Time is starting to draw away late. It's Daughter of Time with the 16th to go. Music Melody, not done, is trying to come back towards the inside, but Daughter of Time is your winner. Daughter of Time wins it over Music Melody. Tight here for 3rd. Luminique from way out of it in a photo with Stamp of Approval in 1 minute 18 and 3.
Daughter of Time, the win goes off second choice here in this 6th at Aqueduct for, if you follow the circuit closely, terrific trainer Charlie Baker.
Yeah, Charlie Baker is a tremendous horseman. Like I said, uncharacteristically a quiet meet for him so far. But Daughter of Time, race under her belt, the outside post gave her the opportunity to, settle just a little bit, watch what was going on inside of her. Still hung on the wrong lead, but got it done. And Sarah, you keep a hot hand. You've been on fire this afternoon.
I try. I mean, things are going well so far. Don't jinx it for me. But, Richie, when you were riding, you were in this position, I'm sure, very often where you have a horse, a young horse, and you're trying to get them to switch over on their lead. You might be in front. Do you focus much on getting that lead change, or are you just considered with keeping that forward momentum?
Well, in this situation, you help them. You try to set them up for it, shift their weight, keep them balanced. And if they don't do it, go forward. The wire's in front of you. I've seen riders lose races shifting weight around too much and throwing a horse's balance off by trying so hard to get them to change leads. She's a southpaw. She wants to run on her left lead. She's getting it done. Let her go forward.
7-6, 4-5, Daughter of Time, Jose Lescano for Charlie Baker. with the win here in the 6th to kick off this late pick 4. And maybe some first-timers that just needed a race under their belt. We'll see if we get some improvement from those next time around. But that Brad Cox first-timer, the best of the bunch here in this race, running second. We're going to have the price for you when we come back. Take a time out. More from Oaklawn ahead. Father-son duo, Keith Asmussen. He's got a great one to learn from with the winningest trainers in North American history, giving him plenty of mounts. They will team up with the heavy favorite next in the 3rd.
In the Pilgrim Stakes, they come on for the finish. Annapolis by a head.
It is Annapolis in front. It is Annapolis to win the Coolmore Turf Mile.
Nominate now for this year's Fasig-Tipton Selected Yearling Sales. The July Sale. A strong market for precocious and athletic yearlings that attract the sport's leading end users. Last year, 40% of yearlings sold brought $100,000 or more. The 103rd Saratoga Sale. The crown jewel of American yearling sales, Saratoga set new sale records for the 2nd year in a row, including the highest price yearling sold in the world in 2023.
Tice upstairs, $4 million even.
New York bred yearlings, the #1 marketplace for New York breds, held during the Saratoga race meet. Selected sales, superior results. Visit selectedyearlings.fasigtipton.com to nominate now and rise above the crowd at our 2024 Selected Yearling Sales.
The sun shines bright on Caraconte. His first crops of racing age are showing brilliance on the racetrack with a high percentage of stakes winners. His versatility is evidenced by winners on all surfaces across the globe.
Spandarella could not have been more impressive.
The sun shines bright on this value sire.
Here down 25, here down 25, here down. Thank you. Right here, 525,000.
Caraconte, standing at Gainesway.
Back with you on America's Day of the Races. Sunday card from Aqueduct Oaklawn. More to come. And here in New York, Daughter of Time. 2nd time out, was bet to favoritism in the debut. Valiant effort in defeat. 2nd time around, it's picture time.
And set a really nice trip. Jose Lezcano, just as consistent a rider as is out there. Shows up every day, quietly, unassumedly, just does his job. And I think the outside post really helped Daughter of Time. She was able to get into the race comfortably, watch the speed inside of her. She still showed her natural speed, but wasn't forced into the race. And despite running through the stretch on her left or incorrect lead, got it done, was best. Really nice effort from the first-time starter, Music Melody from the Brad Cox barn. Ran well, just beaten by a filly with experience.
Got the outside post today, too. Had to deal with the rail in that debut. Didn't hurt. Charlie Baker, Jose Lezcano team up. Meanwhile, back to Oaklawn. We talked about father-son team. Getting together here with Booth, Steve Asmussen, his son Keith, and that's the 4-5 favorite. Booth, who, wow, 96 Beyer speed figure in the debut. We start with CPG for Ron Moquette here in the post-parade.
Best effort was on the turf. Horse had good speed on turf. Has really shown nothing early on the dirt here.
Here's Booth for Team Asmussen.
Booth, very good. Good speed on debut at Keeneland. Tried stake in the Ed Brown. Faced Just Steele, who's been running well in the stakes at Oaklawn this winter.
Frost free. Happy to get away from another Asmussen, rather Valentine Candy.
He's not going to look over and see Valentine Candy. I'm sure that's a relief.
Make it, spend it at 14-1 for the Asmussen barn as well.
Yeah, moving back up in company after dropping to 32 to break his maiden for Steve Asmussen.
Chris Hartman barn with Andy's Candy.
Horse that's been going longer, turns back. He needs to see pace. He tried to make a late run.
And a stablemate from that Hartman barn as well, who went gate to wire first time out at almost 8-1 Texas Town.
Yeah, that was a really nice effort and a very game effort, battling it out on the lead, and got a good figure too.
Yeah, and then let's go mark the experience of the field. This horse with quickness outside for John Ennis.
Quickness outside, but you get a rider with great hands in Julian Leperoux, and that outside post gives him the ability, much like we just saw here in New York with your winner, Daughter of Time, to get into the race the right way.
Well, Paulie, it's father-son team here with Booth. Is he going to be too good for this group?
Well, remains to be seen, right? I mean, this horse obviously showed a ton of talent in his first start at Keeneland, posted a 96 buyer, like you guys were saying. And I was talking to Ron Moquet a little bit earlier, who has a horse in this race, and him and Steve are very close. And he had told Steve, like, listen, when we were working Booth together with Valentine Candy, we thought Booth was better. Now, in his last race on November, he ran 5th behind Just Steel. That's when Just Steel kind of freaked that day and showed he had talent, and then showed a little bit of spottiness. But like Mig said, his last couple or 3 races here at Oaklawn have been pretty darn good. Now, Booth will get Lasix for his 3-year-old debut. And, the worry that you have in here is that you have a horse like the 3, Frost Free, putting blinkers on very fast. You have the outside horse, Let's Go Mark, getting Lasix for John Ennis very fast. Texas Town, the 6, for Chris Hartman, won a race gate to wire in a 12-horse field. My only worry about that field, Chun Money, who ran 3rd, and a couple others have come back not to run that well. But there is so much pace in here. Keith Asmussen's going to have to make a decision whether he wants to send Booth or sit. But I would think he probably won't take the speed away from him and go. I think the 5, Andy's Candy, is the horse that is the dangerous horse in here, because with all the speed in here, this is a horse that's cutting back in distance for Hartman and has shown that, does like a wet surface, and probably will be the horse who will be the beneficiary if there is a fast pace. But when I look at the 2 and I look at Booth, I look at a horse that ran a 96 buyer and an 80 buyer and ran so fast. And I look at the works. February 5th, 42 out of 43. January 29th, 108 out of 127, 51. January 7th, 57. I mean, this horse is like me running for a triple in the morning. I mean, that's Steve Asmussen to a T. I would think Booth is going to fire a big shot.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I mean, this horse is, you would think, lightning quick, but Steve Asmussen working him just like a light little jog in the morning.
That's what Steve does, though. He doesn't use his horses up in the morning. He, gets them fit and then maintains that fitness. He doesn't need to see them go fast every time.
And Sarah, this debut, I mean, you don't see figures this big that often from 2-year-olds first time out.
And not ones that go so under the radar in terms of the wagering. I mean, he was 5-1 in this race where he defeated Nash, and he really kind of slipped through the cracks of everyone's attention with this sort of dazzling effort to end the day at Keeneland. No one really expecting it. Expectations were there in his next start, and he did not deliver, but that was some pretty decent company that he was facing in the Ed Brown.
So, winningest trainer, North American history, putting his son on board here, and this is what Steve and Keith have done together. 13% win percentage, as we've seen this young rider who really initially kind of got into it just to have a little fun, have some mounts one summer, and now he's making a career out of it.
I'm so proud of Keith. I've known him, for many years now. He never had the opportunity to ride as an apprentice because he couldn't take advantage of the weight allowance. Now, of course, he's had his dad's support, but the reason you get the apprentice allowance is because you're learning on the job. It's on-the-job training, and he never was able to take advantage of that, and he's so improved, and he continues to look better and better on horses. He's learned to manage his height, and obviously he's got an incredible example in his uncle Cash, who is one of the greatest riders in this era, I mean, in North America, and certainly revolutionized the way they rode in France.
And you say that manages his height. He's on the taller side for Jockey.
Yes, he's tall for a rider. And, a lot of people have this misnomer, jockeys have to be short. No, you just have to be able to make the weight. It doesn't matter how tall you are. It matters if you're able to get within the weight boundaries.
And a difficult thing to do for those taller riders, to maintain that level of fitness, to be able to guide a horse, to help them finish their races, and still be able to make that weight for the taller riders. Trevor McCarthy, a good example of a taller rider that, sometimes has to have those issues be more prevalent, be more of a struggle for him to keep within the bounds of the weight.
Well, and that's what people need to understand. And for a young rider that has, a weight issue because of their height, they're a little bit taller, they have to rearrange the way they look at food. In our society, we think about food. It's a very social thing. We sit with people. We eat. We enjoy company with food. Food, it has to be fuel. You have to look at everything that you're going to intake as what it's going to do for my body. What kind of energy is it going to give me? How is it going to enhance my athletic ability? It takes a lot of discipline, a lot of sacrifice, and an incredible amount of desire.
Did you talk to, at any point in your career, someone that could help you manage that?
Oh, absolutely. I wound up going to a nutritionist and trying to figure it out. When I broke my neck the first time, I got up to 143 pounds while I was recovering. I went to a nutritionist and got all the weight off, got back down to riding weight, trying to do it properly.
Post time coming up. 4-5 favorite, Booth, and a barn that they thought this horse potentially could be better than Valentine Candy. Valentine Candy at this meet already has put together not just three wins, 3 stakes wins, as we saw him win over the weekend in the Ozarks.
And dominant performances as well.
This is high praise. So we'll see what the comeback is like. And obviously they threw him into tough company second time out in a stake. I'll get Lasix for the comeback. But there is a lot of pace in this race.
There is a lot of pace. We saw Valentine's Candy be able to kind of change up how he did things and sit off the pace. I wonder if Booth is just so natural, they just stay out of his way.
Be interesting to see what the dynamics are in terms of what they do with him early on. I think they sort of learned by accident that Valentine Candy could rate, and he was much more forward when he was able to secure the win yesterday, though he did rate slightly off the pace.
There he is. Keith riding for Dad here on Booth on the 4-5 favorite, and maybe another very talented 3-year-old sprinter after seeing just Valentine take that Ozark yesterday for these connections. Matt Dinneran, the call with a third from Oaklawn.
Is also loaded. Let's go, Mark, to the outside. We're ready to go. And we're off. Uneventful beginning. Frost free out there with Texas Town. Booth in that group down on the inside, easing off the speed right now. Texas Town, who leads the way by over a length, making a length and a quarter. On Let's Go, Mark running in second. Booth to the inside, moving level with him. Frost free, eager between horses, adding the blinkers today. He's pretty keen to go on here, tugging pretty hard. 2 lengths off the pace setter. CPG is joining him. A gap of 4 to Andy's Candy. Make It, Spend It well behind as they round the far turn. Texas Town facing winners for the first time today. Leads by 3 parts of a length. Let's Go, Mark second. Booth on the inside, saving ground in a pocket, joined by CPG, who's sent along 3 wide into the 3rd spot. Frost free retreats to 5th. Then Andy's Candy trying to get outside here as 5 lengths to gain, needs to get going as they swing off the corner. Texas Town in front. Booth trying to get off the rail. He has done so, and here he comes with his rally. Booth is coming charging, confidently handled here by Keith Asmussen. Just rolls to the lead, and Booth, that talent is on full display here, and he looks sharp coming to the line. It's Booth by 4. Let's Go, Mark holds second, Frost free third. Andy's Candy was 4th home.
Maybe he is the better Valentine Candy. That remains to be seen. What a performance. Not showing he's not a one-trick pony here, sitting off the pace. And when he got that opening, just exploded, Mick.
How nice was this? How comfortable he was right in behind horses. Keith with that long hold, nice hands, was able to come out. Once he got in the clear, it was visual how he lengthened the stride and quickened, Sarah.
And you were saying, watching this race, that he was taught something today. He really learned something in this effort. We saw him sit behind horses, take some kickback, have to be in a little bit of traffic, wait for his rider's cues in order to have that acceleration moving forward. And when asked, he answered the question.
It's a, you know, you've had the opportunity to talk to Keith, whose career's just getting started. Such a conscientious young man, but you got to think he feels even more pressure riding for Dad. Good did not have to think about it here because this horse was just much the best.
Yeah, but I also think that they're on the same page, and I'm sure going in, the way he handled this horse was, hey, you know what? We know how much ability he has. We've got to teach him to do it properly. And when you're on the same page, the communication is so good between you and the trainer, and obviously it's his father. And, you know, to have a horse deliver this kind of an effort when you're teaching them something as well, I was very impressed with the horse, and I was very impressed with Keith here in this situation.
And usually for this barn, who's, you know, so good really at everything, but usually has an embarrassment of riches of talented sprinters.
Yeah, but, you know, again, it goes all back to the beginning. You know, you got Keith and Sissy Asmussen, Steve's parents, Cash, working with them in Laredo, breaking them, getting them ready. So they're in on these horses' development from the very beginning when they're going to start having weight on their back and riders, you know, getting them fit and ready to run. It really is an amazing family and what they've done, a prolific racing family in North America.
And I remember asking Keith in the paddock before the hopeful, who's better, Valentine Candy or Gold Sweep? Valentine Candy was his answer, and I think he's been right about that so far. So he's clearly aware of these horses and their ability in the morning and how that will translate in the afternoon.
So it's Booth at odds on. Paulie, impressive performance here in this 3-year-old debut.
Yeah, really impressive. I just wanted to piggyback on what Mig said. I actually ran into Sissy yesterday. I mean, she is a wonderful woman. She holds down the fort and has to keep all these Asmussens in check. And I ended up talking to her. I said, God bless you, watching all of your kids riding. And then I said, how's Eric doing? How about Eric Asmussen has won 15 races at Sam Houston Park as well, and is having an amazing meet there in Texas. So it doesn't just stop here with Keith as well as Steve, and obviously a very talented horse in Booth. But Eric Asmussen got 15 wins as well.
Pretty incredible, considering Steve got to ride against his brother Cash. And now the two sons getting a chance. They've ridden against each other as well. We're going to take a timeout. When we come back, celebrate the life of a legend in this sport whose time was long overdue to finally get the recognition he deserved, the great Jimmy Winkfield. We'll be back. Back with you on our FS1 coverage. America's Day at the Races. More action coming up from both Oaklawn and from here in New York at Aqueduct. He had a brief but brilliant riding career here in the States, and whatever adversity came Jimmy Winkfield's way, he always persevered. From being blackballed in the United States to escaping the Russian Revolution and then France when invaded by the Nazis, Winkfield continued to reinvent himself and always find success, eventually winding up where he always belonged, in horse racing's Hall of Fame.
Jimmy Winkfield is probably among the most remarkable stories in thoroughbred racing history. You're talking about one of the most accomplished jockeys in a very short span in America, the only black jockey in the 20th century to win the Kentucky Derby, and he did it in back-to-back years. He was only the second guy to do that, following in the footsteps of Isaac Murphy. But his career in America is very short. After 1903, he was basically forced overseas. He had a conflict with John E. Madden, who was one of the top turfmen of the era. And there was also a lot of racism on the American tracks that really forced a lot of the black jockeys out of the game in America. Some went overseas, some just had their career end. But Winkfield had a remarkable journey throughout Russia, throughout Europe. He won over 2,500 races, and then he had success as a trainer. But it's also, you know, the other part of the story is what happened off the track. He had to escape the Bolsheviks during World War I in Russia. He had to escape the Nazis during World War II in France. So he had a remarkable life, and he kind of almost got overlooked. But some historians really revived his legacy, and through that he was able to get inducted to the Hall of Fame, to have a stakes race named after him in the New York Racing Association. So just a remarkable life, and it's great that his history has been preserved. It's a different sort of history than you see in baseball. You didn't have that one person that broke that barrier, but Winkfield's story as being the last one to win the Kentucky Derby and one of only a few to win it in back-to-back years, I think is really inspirational, and it's a big part of racing's history.
Just a remarkable career, just so long overdue to finally get his due. Didn't happen until he got in the Hall of Fame until 1904. Pretty good trainer, too, who wound up giving Bill Hartack some of the first few mounts of his career.
Yeah, I mean, just what he did, and it's an incredible book about his life, the Jimmy Winkfield story. You know, going and training for the Tsar of Russia, being a leading trainer in France before emigrating back to the States. So not only was he tremendous jockey, he was a tremendous horseman on so many levels, and it's a fantastic read. Anybody who's interested in the history of thoroughbred racing really needs to find that book and read it.
I might have to add it to my my reading list here, but just the legacy that he's been able to really have, that longevity in terms of his impact on the sport as well, and being that example for other African-American jockeys to follow. It's pretty incredible what he was able to do.
I have the book at home. I'm going to bring it in for you.
Oh, great.
Post parade for this seventh year. Non-winners to 2 lifetime, 6 furlong sprint. This is the remaining half of the entry. Barry Funny, coming off a maiden claiming win, gets post 2.
Yeah, got the money there for the maiden 30. Drops in for 16, half the price Linda Rice claim.
The rail to Golden Purchase, long shot.
He is dropping in class, but he also took 26 starts to break his maiden.
Big drop from Newport Bridge as well with Wayne Potts, the trainer.
Yeah, claimed him for 25, tried him for 40. Significant drop in class to 16.
Very debonair. Usually showed speed. That was not the case last time.
No, on a muddy surface, but this horse was also running on synthetics, so does this horse handle the dirt?
Cut back in distance for this one here. Dad's good runner.
He is 0 for 5 at 6 furlongs throughout his career without hitting the board, so not sure the cutback really helps him.
Skip ahead to the 8. Grand again for the Lolita Shibmangle barn.
He's a horse that has early speed. He took some time to break his maiden, but his last 3 races had been a step in the right direction, and he might just be an improved animal.
5-1 on that outside runner. And late to the party, here's the 7, Basic Truth, who's been off since May of last year.
Yeah, a horse that flashed big ability in his second start when he ran for maiden 20 on an off racetrack. Pat Reynolds is a trainer that knows how to get things done. He's old school, and he had a win yesterday, I believe. A guy that just knows how to win.
Both halves of the entry look dangerous in here, but now it's just up to Barry Funny, the sole remaining half. Let's go downstairs to Maggie for more.
Yeah, Greg, he kind of physically looks like a standout here as Linda Rice immediately opts to drop him in claiming tag after picking him up for the 30,000, and which resulted in a win. And two, he was actually a little bit against the track that day, which was tilted more towards inside runners as he was on the wide chase throughout with his stablemate nearly battling back. But again, just so much the best. And I will admit that when you win a maiden claimer for state breds, you're probably best going into this type of condition. But then again, Linda, if she really likes one, will raise him up. He looks fantastic against this field, though, to be fair. We'll see how he negotiates getting back to a flat 6 furlongs. Actually, he's never run this short in his career. He is a big, lumbering type. So I can't really fault him, but I do have a few question marks in off the claim, as we'll take a look at a horse taking a lot of money now, drifting a little upwards to 4-1 is number 6, Dad's Good Runner. Sarah brings up good points with him being 0 for 5 at this distance. I will say that if you're comparing distances, 6 furlongs, looking at him physically, is much more preferable to the 9 furlongs that he had last time out. But that's a sharp cutback. And a lot of times, it kind of just dulls a horse's early speed, and he's not quick enough to be that effective, at least I would say as of late, going the 6. We'll see what he does here. Maybe the money is meaningful, but I didn't necessarily see it, as I'm going to take a shot here with number 8, Grand Again. Projects to be the early speed, though we'll see if very Debonair can get out of the track on a fast surface this time. He was a little bit washy and nervous, but again, I don't mind that for a speed horse. JK?
Yeah, look, talking speed horses, I like the horse drawn to the outside, the 8, Grand Again. When you get to some of these lower level races, I think the difference between some of the lower level horses and the better horses is their ability to kind of carry that speed and to kind of fight when they get into a little bit of a altercation. These horses, I'm not sure if they'll do that. So let's just go with the horse I think is going to be on the front end, the 8, Grand Again.
5-1 JK on Grand Again. Romero Mirage in the irons. Took 16 starts for that 5-year-old to break his maiden. Now we'll see if he can go back to back. Favorite though, Very Funny for the Linda Rice barn. First off the claim with Kendrick Carmouche from post 2. Chris Griffin, the call.
And in. All set. And they're off. Dad's Good Runner broke with speed. So does Basic Truth towards the outside. Grand Again. Trying to join them is Newport Bridge. It's going to be Grand Again. Romero Mirage. They're quickest, and they're quickly up now by a length and a half. Back to second is going to be Basic Truth. It's going to take off the early tempo, and Dad's Good Runner is a challenge third. As Newport Bridge, one of that spot is going to back off, is now in 4th. Very Debonair is in 5th. The 2 towards the back, Very Funny with the trailer. Golden Purchase. They're chasing Grand Again, and they have caught Grand Again. It's Basic Truth, who pushes right on by. 23.41 for the opening quarter mile, and Basic Truth at 18-1 is the leader. Dad's Good Runner is settling off at that tempo, and here comes Dad's Good Runner 3 wide after the leaders. Newport Bridge is back for more, and Very Funny. Kendrick Carmouche weaving between rivals, in between horses there is in 5th. As they get set to reach the top of the stretch, it's Dad's Good Runner. Battling on is Basic Truth. Very Funny has the seam if good enough. Very Funny with the leaders in sights. Also right there is Newport Bridge. It's Dad's Good Runner who's finding more. Newport Bridge has now got the momentum on the grandstand side. Very Funny's going to have to go outside of that rival. Dad's Good Runner is trying to fend off Newport Bridge. Here's Newport Bridge to the outside, who puts ahead in front. Very Funny late, but it's going to be Newport Bridge and Dad's Good Runner. Newport Bridge is your winner. Newport Bridge gets the win over Dad's Good Runner. Very Funny way out there was Golden Purchase. Finished 4th. Then 1:12 and 4.
Newport Bridge, second off the claim. Wayne Potts barn with Luis Rivera Jr. the victory.
It's had a real nice trip, too, you know, and the speed kind of developed from the outside. Much as we all thought, Grand Again showed good speed. Basic Truth took him on early. Dad's Good Runner improved speed on the turn back, and he made a wide move, but a steady move here. Newport Bridge under Luis Rivera Jr., an apprentice that I think has been riding extremely well, putting horses in the right position, and he was just a very resolute winner.
And this is the lowest level of company that he's faced in his career so far, going second off the claim for trainer Wayne Potts and dropping significantly from the $40,000 tag to this $16,000 tag. And here, I guess he found his friends today.
I think he was well placed today. I really do. I think this was absolutely good management on Wayne Potts' job. And you're getting a 5-pound break in weights with a rider now that has good experience under his belt, and he wins by about a long half a length, 3/4 of a length. I think that weight comes into play in those situations.
3-6, 1-2 finish, 7-2, beating an even money favorite here in this 7th at Aqueduct. Try and get you these prices before we switch our coverage over to FS2. Meanwhile, back at Oaklawn, Asmussen Barn with yet another talented sprinter, Booth, 3-year-old debut. Not just a win, but doing it, showing a new dimension here.
I like when horses, they show speed. All good horses possess speed, but they start using it in a way that's going to make them better horses going forward. This horse, Booth, learned something today.
And once they show you something different, that they have that tactical ability, that they can do a variety of running styles and still be successful, it opens up your options moving forward. Then you have a horse that's really going to pay attention to their rider and allow you to place them where you need to be effective.
Never know. I mean, we didn't expect to see potentially a breakout star in this program. Maybe we just did in the 3-year-old sprint division.
The way he did it, absolutely. And now he's not vulnerable if he's in a position where there's some crazy 50-to-1 shot that possesses 21 type speed where you're going to be compromised. You can have confidence that he can sit off the pace. And not only did he sit off the pace, he sat in behind horses in a little bit of a tight spot. Keith Asmussen could not have been any more cool in that position.
And, good to see, too, Dad giving Keith some of the choicier mounts here in a horse with we know that has a lot of talent.
A big opportunity, and he rode him well. He was patient. He kept him in behind horses, got an education out of that race, and really showed that he's a rider that's thinking ahead with a plan.
Coming up next on FS1, it's women's college basketball. Big Ten, Maryland at Illinois. Our coverage of America's Day at the Races continues over on FS2. So we'll see you over there from 3 to 4 Eastern time. With a lot more coming up from Oaklawn and from Aqueduct. So again, we'll see you over on FS2 coming up after this timeout. Newport Bridge takes the 7th. Here at the Big A, Luis Rivera Jr. and trainer Wayne Potts with a 7-2 shot beating this even money favorite. Back at Oaklawn, it was Booth, 3-year-old debut, very impressive. Sitting off the early pace, waiting for an opening, and then pouncing for the father and son combo of Steve and Keith Asmussen. Meanwhile, no more time. What a day on the Derby Trail, the Sam F. Davis, and now it's on to the Tampa Bay Derby for that team. We'll see you on FS2 next.
Breeders' Cup champion Good Magic by Sire of Sires Curlin was the sire of first crop Kentucky Derby champion Mage, one of 3 Grade 1 winners to date, along with Muth and Blazing Sevens. In 2023, with just 2 crops to race, Good Magic ranked 21st on the general sire list with $9.5 million in earnings. 2-year-olds sold for up to $2 million, and yearlings sold for up to $725,000. Good Magic, the classic sire.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings no matter where you are with Naira Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with Naira Bets.
They're off in the 2023 First Crop Sires Race. Maximum Mischief makes the lead with the most 2-year-old maiden special winners by any sire. On the backstretch, Mitoli and Omaha Beach close the gap. With stakes performers from coast to coast, Vino Rosso finds his best and leads on the turn with 4 Grade 1 colts on dirt. But it's Mitoli with his 3rd TDM Rising Star, your champion freshman, leading an impressive Spendthrift Superfecta.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Welcome to America's Day at the Races on FS2. Good to be with you on Super Bowl Sunday. Our program brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net. Today, live action coming up from Aqueduct. We'll have the feature for you. More from Hot Springs, Arkansas with Oaklawn as well. Greg Wolf, winningest rider in the history of this racetrack, the big Richard Migliori, Sarah El Badwe here for the next hour to bring you the action to take you up to the big game. And we have a good one coming up here in this next race in New York.
Yeah, real nice race here, 1 1/8 miles. And I thought it was a very interesting race. I really, to me, this was the biggest handicapping conundrum of the day. I know everybody's kind of, Coppa Girl's going to be your favorite, but I thought it was a little more intricate than that.
She's a prohibitive favorite, but she's finished second a couple of times in a row now. Perhaps a horse that is taking money and burning it. So maybe some other options, other possible directions to go in.
And look, question marks at this distance, too. At 1 1/8 miles for her. We'll see Manny Franco, Brad Cox team up. More on that one in a moment. Get signed up, started, play along with Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. That's the offer for new members. $200 deposit match. New customer bonus. That's the code to punch in. At sign up, match 200 to take advantage. Again, right there at NairaBets.com. So field for this 8th race. We fully expected this to be one of the shortest prices on today's card. Copa Girl, outside post here. Right now, though, 5 to 2 early on. We have a little ways, though, until post time here. So far, 0 for 2 at this 1 1/8 miles distance for one of the best barns in the country in Brad Cox.
Oh, you mean a tremendous horseman who's just been hitting on all cylinders for a long time now.
More on this field when we return, including the post parade. Brad Cox, yet again this past year, a finalist for an Eclipse Award as Outstanding Trainer. Led the nation in earnings, setting a new record. He'll have Manny Franco on board, his favorite, coming up in this 8th on the Sunday card when we come back. Good to have you with us on this Sunday afternoon. America's Day of the Races here on FS2, brought to you in part by legendary Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually well. What hot spots around Hot Springs did you hit, Mig, besides the racetrack?
Well, of course, we went to DeLuca's. That's our place. I mean, Anthony at DeLuca's treats us amazing. The food's tremendous. We had a good time. The whole crew went, and we just really had a very enjoyable evening.
Favorite kind of pizza?
Love a man who always brings it back to food on his travels. My kind of guy.
Well, and then honestly, the hotel and the restaurants at the hotel and the casino are so convenient and so good as well. And the hospitality is second to none. The people at Oaklawn, and Paul will attest to this, they treat us so well.
2 minutes to post in this fourth coming up here at Oaklawn. 30 maiden claiming, mile and a 16th route race here. Let's check in with Paul LaDuca.
Yeah, this is a very actually difficult race. I thought it was the most wide open race of the day today. And don't forget, if you are playing the late pick 5, there's 9 races on the race card that will start in race number 5. You know, the favorite in here, the 7, Rivetage, I guess how you pronounce that, for Kenny McPeak, you know, on the drop, you know, had some similar, I guess, characteristics to the 6, his stablemate, who just really didn't do much, although the 6 has really done not much running at all. But this horse did do a little bit of running last time, was wide most of the way and got the best number in the field, but I think because of the wide trip. So I can understand why the public is going here. Frosted has done well, at least decent enough on a wet surface. But when you look at this race, it's just no one that really stands out at all. You know, I like the 5 in here, Greer's Ferry for Lindsey Schultz. You know, this horse used to be in the D. Wayne Lucas barn, does have a second place finish with the best speed figure number and the best number in the race in his second race in his career. Now, she put this horse on turf. It did not work out. Now Christian Torres will get aboard. You're getting 4-1. So I thought that was a square price. I think the 6 is going to run a lot better today with the drop in class. It just seems like these Kenny McPeak horses run a lot better with drops in class. And then, you know, the outside horse, Equate, the big gray, is taking money. And I tell you what, he was warming up with a purpose and looked actually really well on the racetrack. But I'll land with the 5 here for Lindsey Schultz and about 4-1 in a very, 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 I think, evenly matched field.
All right, Paulie, thanks. Yeah, that 12 Equate actually took money first time out. It was maiden 20, and you got a lot of class droppers in this field. Claimed off of Steve Asmussen, but to one of the best barns in the country, Mike Maker.
Yeah, it goes from a good barn into a good barn. You know, such a disappointing effort, though, first time. And I didn't see a tremendous amount of excuse.
I didn't either. I know that he is a horse that clearly some good barns have their eye on, as you mentioned, leaving Steve Asmussen, going to Mike Maker, but I was a little underwhelmed with his performance first time out. Paul brings up some good points about the number 5, Greer's Ferry. This is a horse that's dropping in class, and you look at who he's faced in terms of his last 2 dirt races, won by Dornoch. We saw him with a very impressive win in the Remsen. Then another horse in Track Phantom. Well, he's certainly one that's very live on the Kentucky Derby trail, moving forwards, and has been taking those races down at fairgrounds. This is a horse that's getting some class relief, switching barns, turning back to the dirt after going to the turf yet again. And he's a fair enough price right now that you might want to give this one a look.
You know, we're talking about our FS1 coverage, Meg, about female trainers making an impact in this game. You're talking about Brittany Russell, obviously Linda Rice, Jenna Antonucci breaking through for the first time in the history of the sport in the Triple Crown. Lindsey Schultz, another one. It's been a pretty rapid rise, how she's ascended in this sport.
Yeah, 22% last year. She's, you know, had a couple winners already. And this horse is taking a meaningful drop in class, too. You go from maiden allowance, maiden special weight races, to maiden claiming. It is a significant drop in class.
I agree completely. It's one of those situations where many have said it's the most significant drop in class that a horse can take, dropping in for a tag for the first time from the maiden special weight level.
5-2 favorite Rivetage for Kenny McPeak. 50 down to 20 after having been in straight maiden races prior to that. What a meet for McPeak, sweeping those 2 big preps on the Derby and Oaks Trail last weekend. Julian Leperoux rides the 7 here, the 5-2 favorite. Let's go to Matt Ditterman for the call.
in the green cap. Without Objection will load next in the white cap. Greer's Ferry taking his spotted line as well. 3 back. You're on mute. Golden Plate. Golden Plate goes in. And to the outside, Equate. Here's Equate. Coming up to the gate, going in. We're ready to go. And let off. Greer's Ferry off a little bit slowly. Midnight Till Dawn from the inside goes right to the lead. Equate Hard Scent gets a tap on the shoulder to be second with Without Objection as they corner into the clubhouse turn. Midnight Till Dawn is the leader here by a touch more than a length. Without Objection running in second. Equate 3 deep, and those 3 now line up around the clubhouse turn, and they put 4 lengths on Golden Plate settling in fourth. 2 lengths clear of County Judge Cape Broncho and Greer's Ferry, who wedges himself between that pair to be level 5th, approaching the backstretch run. A gap of 2.5 to Rivetage, rides the rail onto the backside, passing Ambiguous, and the 2 at the back there together. You're on mute. Prince Is My Boy down the backstretch here. 9 lengths from first to last as they hit the half-mile pole, and Midnight Till Dawn is paving the way by just a deck. Without Objection right there hounding. A 3 deep Equate there as well in the 3 path. Another length to the gray horse. That's Golden Plate down on the inside. Greer's Ferry shake it up 5th. 3 behind into the turn. Cape Broncho right behind him with Ambiguous. County Judge, he's pushed along, needs to turn it around. Rivetage is dropping right out of it. You're on mute. A lot of ground to make up, plotting in place. And Prince Is My Boy has to pass them all in 5/16 of a mile. They round the far turn. Midnight Till Dawn opens up the lead to a length. Golden Plate comes out of the pack, and he's coming with a nice rally now into second. Cape Broncho shake it up from third with Greer's Ferry, who's 3 deep off the turn. In the meantime, Golden Plate has passed Midnight Till Dawn, approaching the furlong pole. You're on mute is coming down the extreme outside, and they come for home now. You're on mute's coming with a big run. You're out on mute on the outside, and Rivetage down on the rail. It's Rivetage going for home now, and Rivetage wins it. Rivetage photo for second. County Judge, Golden Plate, and Greer's Ferry fourth.
Kenny McPeak continues to have a terrific meet out in Hot Springs and just finds the right spot for this horse.
I think well placed, this horse. Terrific ride. Julian Leperoux saving ground. And we've kind of seen this at Oaklawn. Sometimes the track gets muddy or off and the inside's a place to avoid. That's not the case at Oaklawn Park.
No, we've seen this a lot. As you mentioned, riders really coming up the rail, being able to save all that ground and having that move be effective. The rail, a lot of the time, is the place that you want to be.
Back to New York in South Ozone Park here, this 8th at Aqueduct, 1 1/8 allowance optional claiming race, and that is the one to beat. Coppa Girl 2-1 right now. That price expected to get a lot lower. Let's go downstairs to Maggie Wolfendale.
Yeah, Coppa Girl looks good as a favorite, though I do still have my question marks when it comes to the 9 furlongs for her. But let's take a look at a few horses that I wasn't necessarily expecting to like, but have now since observing these horses in the paddock. One of them is one of 2 Linda Rice horses, whom I feel both of them somewhat ambitiously spotted. Now, sometimes we do see these Linda Rice horses that don't appear to fit maybe with this class, and when she does spot them in an aggressive place, they sometimes tend to deliver, and she will send out the plotting number 4, I Feel the Need, but also number 6, My Town, My Rules, as she's coming off of 3 efforts that wouldn't give her even a whiff of the field here. Though, going back before that, the 3 fairgrounds races do make her a little bit interesting here, as she is a long, rangy, scopy type of filly where I don't think she wants any part of the 6 furlongs, as she got that first off of the claim for Linda and a sloppy racetrack. Now she's back on the fast surface and getting the distance. she looks fantastic here. She looks fit despite not running much in the last 6 months, and she really presents herself well here for this return to some route racing. As we'll move on to the inside runner, that's number 2, Rhea Valentine, who was ambitiously spot last time out after breaking her maiden straight into the ladies, in which we saw Comparative and Saddle Up Jessie dominating, and both of them coming back to return and win their respective races. I remember Rhea Valentine that day taking a lot of early money, and I couldn't quite understand why, and she didn't run that well. But now she gets to come back here on Lasix, where she had to run without it in that ladies, and looks like a filly that does or should appreciate the 9 furlongs. So I think she's a little bit intriguing here in a much more logical spot, I think, overall with this field. Greg?
Maggie, thanks. 7-1 from the inside post for Rhea Valentine. Isaac Castillo will hop aboard for Chad Summers. That was an ambitious spot last time out. It's tough to gauge. It's not run a race at all that day.
No, and sometimes when you're overmatched, the horse gets discouraged easily early. And, you know, to go from a maiden race to the ladies, you know, was a very ambitious spotting.
It was a big jump up in class, and we've seen both of the horses that finished first and second in that race come back to win. Of course, Comparative going down to Oaklawn, taking the Grade 3 Bayakoa, Saddle Up Jessie, winning the Heavenly Prize Invitational Stakes yesterday. So that race has come back strong in terms of the company that she was keeping. And she's also a horse that had more success when she broke her maiden being forwardly placed. And she was far, far back in that race. So out of her depth and out of her running style.
Well, let's go to that one right there. The favorite, Coppa Girl. Now that price starting to come down 9-5. We should see shorter than that. 2 starts back at this mile and an 8 distance. Tried to do it on the front end, and She's Mo Bubbly catches her.
I thought it was, I mean, obviously a very solid effort. They wound up finishing the mile and 8th in 1:50.3, which, you know, here at Aqueduct, that's a very respectful time.
And this race got a big fig, but I kind of wondered how good was She's Mo Bubbly really, and she came back with a sort of subpar effort in her next start. Now she was good this day. Coppa Girl really game to try to battle back towards the inside with her, but after that race, Coppa Girl came back and regressed from an 86 buyer to a 77 in her next start when she went up as the favorite and could only finish 3rd that day. So she's a horse that she's been the favorite in her last 2 races. She's going to be the favorite again today, and maybe she's one that you want to try to take a shot against at a short price.
It depends which figures you look at. Other figures, she got a much faster race last time out, thoroughgraph-wise anyway. It's a tough read, but no question the mile and an 8th. It's a question mark at this point. Here's the one toned up, gets post 3.
I thought she was a little bit interesting, being bitonalist, and she's got a good effort. Going the mile and 8th, she was well beaten, but it was just Catherine.
I defer to Sarah with the 1A.
You know what? I'm not even going to try here.
Soraya?
We have no. We'll pass. We'll leave it to Chris Griffin, actually. Rhea Valentine, Isaac Castillo for Chad Summers.
We've talked about how she wasn't in the best position to have success in her last race. This is a better spot for her today.
Sorry to put you on the spot there. I thought you might have it. Cara Gate at 13-1.
Homebred for Richard Greeley. Only filly or mare in this race to sport a win at the mile and 8th distance.
Eric Cancel. I feel the need taking money here.
She was second last time out at this distance as the favorite. She doesn't have any early speed, but at least you know that she might appreciate going this far.
Sweet Mystery. This will be easy to spot. The Gray by Cupid with Trevor McCarthy.
Hard knocking, consistent homebred for Gallagher stud Marlene Brody. Wonder what kind of trip she gets here going the mile and 8th.
Here's another Linda Rice runner. My Town, My Rules.
And I wonder what she really wants to do. She's stretching back out, second off the claim for Linda Rice. So we'll see if she likes this distance more.
And it's Manny Franco back aboard for Brad Cox on Coppa Girl.
Very deserving favorite, but she does have those 3 seconds to the 1 win, and you start to wonder, you know, is she a little bit herd-bound? Does she just want to run with horses as opposed to away from horses? Beaten a half a length by She's Mo Bubbly 2 back. And it looked to me like She's Mo Bubbly was going by, and she's like, oh, okay, I still have more work to do. And then she kind of rejoined the fight.
4 minutes to post here in this 8th. Let's go to Jonathan Kinchin.
Yeah, Wolfie, I'm going to go with the 6, My Town, My Rules. And trust me, I'm not cutting in line to take horses off of my man Tom Amos. But I do think there's an interesting story with this horse if you do this exercise, I like to do it from time to time, is look to the bottom of the past performances and work upwards. I think so often people look at the top and work down. If you look at this horse, he ran extremely well first time out for Tom Amoss. Then comes back, runs another nice race in the allowance race at Fairgrounds on February 12th. March 11th, runs well as well. And then just runs extremely poorly at Keeneland, gets 160 days off. That tells me that something happened. There was an issue there to get that time off, why Tom decided to give that time off. Comes back off of that long layoff, where there was an issue likely in between, and doesn't run that well. I can dismiss that. I can dismiss the bad performance before that. And then catches sloppy racetrack, sprinting, and doesn't run extremely well. So basically the last 3 poor races, if you squint, you can come up with some excuses. And I'm just hopeful that Linda can somehow get this horse back, this mare back into form to run some of those previous races that she ran for Tom Amoss, and she's 8-1. So I like to say that I have no problem paying to find out if she can figure that out at 8-1.
JK, I really like what I have seen from My Town, My Rules. She makes an excellent impression of me, and I think that stretching back out in distance is truly ideal here. But I'm going to go to the nearly other white-gray horse in this field, and that's number 5, Sweet Mystery, ultra consistent type for trainer Pat Quick. And, last time, she was a bit out-sprinted early, despite Trevor McCarthy trying to implore her to show that early speed on a day where you wanted to be forward, but she's just not fast enough for that. So now we're back out to the 9 furlongs, and I think it helps her. Although she has yet to win at this distance or configuration, I think that the second place effort up in Saratoga early in the summer makes her a bit of a player here. I find her really, really intriguing in this spot. I love the way that she warmed up, framed herself up beautifully for Trevor, who knows her inside and out. And I'm just going to hope that, as he has been in her last 2 efforts, is aggressive with her, where a lot of, now Copa Girl, she can sit close, but some of the other contenders that are logical are a little bit devoid of early speed. So I'm hoping for a prominent and forward position with Sweet Mystery. I think she's a player, Greg.
Maggie, thanks. Yeah, there's not a ton of pace in here. You have the 1A stretching out, who's probably going to try and put a little pressure on Copa Girl. Manny Franco has that outside post, so he's got to be fairly decisive with that first turn coming up quickly.
I think the 1A maybe can show some speed as well, coming out of that sprint where she was hard used that day, and the other part of the entry, albeit 2 different trainers, toned up, is a deeper closing type, so they kind of complement each other's style.
Yeah, I fully think the 1A stretching out will be part of the pace.
Yeah.
And there's Jose Gomez will be aboard.
I thought this was...
Do you think Copa Girl, I guess it depends on what Manny does, but do you think it'll be aggressive and be out and say, I'm on the best here, let's just take it to him?
Well, Manny's an aggressive rider by nature, so I know he's going to come out forward, but I think if he looks over and he sees a horse like that trying for the lead, it gives him the option to just, settle in and stalk. Copa Girl is not going to be far off the pace.
No, she'll be close up. He's an aggressive rider, and he'll have her in position. I think Isaac Castillo on the 2, Rhea Valentine, will look for some of that forward position from the inside.
4 to 5 morning line. She's never dipped even as low as even money in here. 2 to 1 right now on Copa Girl. Outside post. Let's go to Chris Griffin.
And they're off. Good break from My Town, My Rules towards the outside. Has got early speed, and at the rail here comes Rhea Valentine trying to join this early leader as they work towards that first turn. Sweet Mystery is in between rivals. Now we'll take back to 4th as moving up on the outside is Copa Girl. On the front end, My Town, My Rules. Jose Lescano, they secured the front end, and Copa Girl's going to stalk from 2nd. At the rail, it's Rhea Valentine. Then comes Sweet Mystery, who's in between horses in 4th as they try to back off the tempo. It's another 2.5 back to Esawira, who's back there with Toned Up as they share that placing mid-pack. Towards the tail end of the field, there is Carrigate, and far back right now, I Feel the Need is the trailer. 24-4 for that opening quarter mile. My Town, My Rules is in front. It's Copa Girl at 3-2, right to her outside here, stalking from 2nd. Nice journey for Sweet Mystery. Trevor McCarthy, they're in the 3 path and chasing these early leaders. At the rail, it's Rhea Valentine and Isaac Castillo shoved along. Asawira starts to move closer, is from 5th, and behind that is Toned Up. Carrigate starts to move in closer, is now 8 off the lead and still far back. I Feel the Need is at the back of affairs. 49-4 for that half-mile time, and Coppa Girl is pressed on. It's Coppa Girl who puts away My Town, My Rules. Sweet Mystery is engaged right to the outside here from second. Esawera is starting to make a move from fourth, is about to challenge and take third, coming after the leader. Coppa Girl is in hand and doing it nicely enough so far. Sweet Mystery is all in here from second. Here comes a run from Esawera, toned up from far out of it. The rest with a lot of running to do. Manny Franco looks over his right shoulder, and Coppa Girl now kicks for home. Sweet Mystery will not go away. Continue to chase this leader. It's Coppa Girl trying to put it away. Sweet Mystery is still about 2 lengths back there in second. From the back, toned up is rallying on, but Coppa Girl is now opening up that margin with the 16th left to go. It's going to be Coppa Girl to win this one easily. Coppa Girl gets it done and does it nicely. Sweet Mystery will hold second over toned up Esawera, and then My Town, My Rules holds off an oncoming Rhea Valentine in 1 minute 53 and 1.
Coppa Girl, the victory. Surprising, she held actually at 3-2 after being 4-5 morning line in here. Brad Cox, Franco, and Steve Landers team up.
Got the perfect trip. She just set just off the speed set by the 6. My Town, My Rules. Looked like a winner every step. The strong handling from Manny Franco. She kicked on, turning for home. Sweet Mystery, second best. Good ride from Trevor McCarthy. Hustled her in position, gave her an opportunity to settle into a good rhythm, and toned up was third best, but your favorite was just best on the day.
She was, and you could tell that Manny Franco had some confidence, knew what was underneath him coming into the stretch, hadn't really asked her for her best yet, whereas Trevor McCarthy was already getting busy with Sweet Mystery to get her more engaged, and Coppa Girl just ended up being the best in this race.
And able to do it without getting to the front.
Yeah, but you see, that was the beauty of the outside post, right? He could allow her to come out and then assess what's going on inside of him and say, okay, great. I've got a target for a little while and keep my filly's attention a little bit. Brad Cox does such a good job, and his horses hold their form for elongated periods of time.
Yeah, we talked about it before. It's amazing with as many starters as he sent out last year. Just under 1,000, he was able to win at 28% on the year.
Yeah, really strong, like you said, because it's not a small sampling.
No, it's not. 3-2 on Coppa Girl for Brad Cox with Manny Franco. In the feature, nightcap still to come on our FS2 coverage. A couple of wins today for Manny Franco. Well, the prices when we come back.
Cyberknife was a very talented horse from day one. A very gifted, fast horse, a lot of speed, able to carry it around 2 turns. Looks a tremendous amount like Gun Runner, same ability and talent, beautiful physical, outworked every horse in the board. Holds the track record in the Haskell. He won it in impressive fashion, beating a very good group of horses.
And Cyberknife has won the TVG.com Haskell over Tama. Jack Christopher finished third.
The Arkansas Derby was one of his best. Showed how much talent he really does have, and stamped himself as one of the best 3-year-olds in the country. Cyberknife ranks up there as one of the most talented horses I've ever had in training. Multiple Grade 1 winner, brought it every time you let him over there. Excited about him passing on his durability, his soundness, and his talent, and if he does, he could definitely be a breed-shaping stallion.
Back with you on America's Day at the Races. Program brought to you in part where you can play it all at Now Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Go to nowbets.com. Coppa Girl in the feature. able to get the win under Manny Franco for Brad Cox.
Yeah, it set up a perfect trip. Sarah just got good position going forward in the first turn, gave her an opportunity to find her stride, was patiently handled when she hit the front. When he asked her, she had a very positive response.
Absolutely. He was aware of what kind of response he was going to get going into the top of the stretch of this race, sitting very chilly until the last possible moment to ask her to elongate that stride and really kick clear and finish up this race. Probably a very likely single for many in any of the late pick sequences, and she delivers.
7-5, and then the entry here in this 8th race. So $5 for the win. Second win, 9 starts for Coppa Girl. We're going to take a timeout. When we return, we'll look back on that Derby Trail stop Saturday in Tampa Bay and the Grade 3 Sam F. Davis. No more time for trainer Jose D'Angelo with Paco Lopez. Leads every step of the way and now is dreaming of roses. Good to have you with us on this Sunday afternoon. America's Day at the Races brought to you by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. ABR Race of the Week. Grade 3 Sam F. Davis on the road to that first Saturday in May. 20 points on the line to the winner. Seemed like a wide open group going in, and in the end it was no more time, taking advantage of that sharp break from the gate and going gate to wire.
Yeah, and got very comfortable up on the front end, but took pressure. It wasn't a dawdling pace. It wasn't a slow pace, and the horses that were chasing got rubber-legged, and this horse continued on. I held off Agate Road, who I think ran extremely well considering everything, but did get pace to run at. I thought this was a nice, solid effort.
It's certainly a big building block moving forwards in terms of what this horse might be able to do on that Kentucky Derby trail, and certainly having that speed is to his advantage. This is a surface that does play kindly toward horses that show that forward position, but you're right, there were other horses who were challenging him early, who really backtracked out of there. One of them, the highly touted Change of Command coming in, he threw in the towel very early on.
And still, you want to see not just a win or running well. You don't have to win, but that progression. Got an 80 buyer speed figure for the victory. You would think would need a lot more improvement to contend on Derby Day, but some of the big names are not going to be there, or at least the horse who's the leading 3-year-old probably contender right now is not eligible for the race. Nice House out west, and there's still room for improvement for this horse to come.
Yeah, and no doubt, and out of the horses that are eligible to run the Derby, though, so far, the most impressive prep for me was Mystic Dan's Southwest. I actually thought he did things, changed up his style. We talk about horses learning, rating, coming up the inside. This horse is going to have to move forward, but that's not to say there isn't a forward move there. These are young horses, and they're changing at this time.
And Agate Road 2 hit the gate coming out. Another bad start. Both his dirt starts has had poor beginnings, but will stay on the Triple Crown Trail for Todd Pletcher, and it sounds like he's going to go on to the Tampa Bay Derby.
And they don't lose anything by doing so, right? They're not missing any of those prestigious races for the 3-year-old males on the grass at this time, and they might as well see what they have going forwards on that Kentucky Derby trail, as he did run well in that last race and clearly appreciates the surface at Tampa.
That's what it's all about. I mean, as a jockey, too, you've been in this position where you've had, horses where you think, could this be the one? What's this time of year like?
Well, it's exciting. Listen, every rider wants to compete in the Derby. Every rider wants to win the Kentucky Derby. I was my most excited with a horse named Wheel Away, who won the Tampa Bay Derby, actually. And he was a legitimate Derby-type horse. He wound up 5th in the Derby, beating about 5 lengths to Fusaichi Pegasus, and he just wasn't the soundest individual. If he was a little sounder, he would have been a horse I think would have made a lot of noise in the Triple Crown.
That leaderboard, lots going to change. 50-point races to come. Then we get into those 100-point races closer to that first Saturday in May. Lots going to change. Nightcap from New York. New York breds. Maiden special weight, 1-turn mile. And as the board reflects, this is wide open right now out of Waterbury. The 2 for trainer David Donk with Katie Davis, a very mild 7-2 favorite in this spot. We'll have more on this nightcap from New York, including the post parade, after a timeout. When we continue with America's Day at the Races right after this.
War Dancer, New York's leading turf sire again in 2023 with standouts like Barrage at Saratoga.
Here's Barrage with a final surge. Barrage got him.
Warsaichi dominant on the dirt at Finger Lakes.
Warsaichi has scampered well clear. Warsaichi all the way with the top spot.
And Danzig Queen on the tap of the surface at Woodbine.
And Danzig Queen will come away and win by a length.
Consistently producing winners on dirt, turf, and synthetic. War Dancer, proud to stand in New York.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Welcome back, and thanks for spending part of your Super Bowl Sunday with us here on America's Day at the Races. Nightcap here in the paddock, and a good-looking crew assembled for this New York bred maiden special weight going the mile. We do see a pair of first-time starters that I'll begin talking about, including number 5, Merlin's Moment, a Son of Honor code. The dam, she was pretty versatile, winning on all 3 surfaces, and this guy a fool to Baldassar, who won his first 2 starts of his career for the same connections and does look a lot like his brother. Merlin's Moment in here. bigger, leggier, so the mile suits him well, though I always say it is a tough distance to debut at, especially at this one-turn configuration. I will say he is actually behaving better than his brother ever did so far in the paddock. Maybe it's because he doesn't know what's actually happening, but he is well prepared from the physical aspect of things too. Dappled head to toe for a horse that has spent the winter here in New York. Certainly doesn't look that way. I think this guy's very intriguing in this spot. Now, not taking that much money is 1-4. Christophe Clement in number 6 at Landoro. Son of Medalla d'Oro, the dam, she was better going longer on the dirt. She was stakes place. This is her first foal, but the second dam, Concord Kid, she produced Bar of Gold and Spirit of St. Louis. Obviously, both of them very talented runners, and both of them by Medalla d'Oro. Christophe does pair up here with Maddie Ulver, whom she kind of started with Christophe. So wondering if maybe she's been working with this horse in the mornings. Like I said, not taking much money, but Christophe had another almost more turf meant runner yesterday who really outran her odds as well. So I like what I'm seeing from this guy, and comes in here well prepared, mentally engaged too, acting like he knows what's going to happen, as his stablemate is number 8, Burning Beauty, very green early on, but made up the most ground of any, as Longshot wired the field that day back on January 13th. Does add blinkers here today for connections. Really good looking sort, just a shortcut cheater blinker that I'm hoping puts him a little bit more in the game early on here, but very fit, very well defined for his second start, and a very logical contender is number 9, St. Gaudens. I did not like on paper. He did no running as a beaten favorite last time out, but it did appear as though this Son of Into Mischief wanted more ground. He's going to get it here. He's very much of that ilk of his pedigree, looks very Into Mischief-like, makes an excellent impression physically. Will add a significant pair of blinkers, which I hope makes him a little bit better on the racetrack. Like him here in the paddock, Greg, but can't say I can endorse him off of that first effort.
Maggie, thanks. I mean, that's the favor right now. Chad Brown, second-time starter, was favored first time out, did not run much at all, but damn, multiple Grade 1 winner. $450,000 purchase. We'll see what happens second time out with the equipment change and more ground. As we get back to Oaklawn, 5th race coming up. Now winners of 3 Life claiming group here, 6 furlongs. Let's go to Paul LaDuca.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. As we see race number 5, we'll close out your early pick 5 and we'll start your late pick 5. And right now your favorite is Absolute Chaos. And this is a horse that's been off for exactly 365 days. Ran February 11th in 2023. And, you know, I can understand why the public is got this horse as the favorite. Because when you look at this race, I look at the 4 Boat Song, who I do like. But the issue with Boat Song is in his 15 starts, he's broken maybe good one time. In a 9-horse field last time, he broke 8th, 7th, 6th, 5th. He just breaks in the back. He's just going to break slow and make one run. Now you have a horse like Monterey, the 5, who is a deep closer and is all of a sudden just kind of lost a lot of his speed. Backside Buzz, the 6, has shown speed before, but then showed 21 and 45 speed. Then they went a mile last time. That was going 6 furlongs. And the horse just broke out the back. I know it was against Tougher, but did not show much at all. You have the 7 in here, Rocking Rocket, that I guess is the other speed in here. So you have a lot of horses that you don't really know what to figure out, whether Boat Song, Monterey, or Backside Buzz is going to run their race. You do have a horse like the 3, who's off a year layoff. The 7 might be the type of horse it's one, you know, he's 1 for 11 with no seconds and no thirds. The lone win came from a maiden 50. So, I mean, I keep just going over and over, and you could just have so many different knocks on different horses. So I think you need to go with the price in here. And, you know, I originally liked Boat Song a little bit in this race. I'm going to go with Monterey. I just think for John Herron, his horses have been firing a little bit, and I'm going to try to close out with a 19-to-1 shot. I just think this race smells a big long shot in here, and I just can't trust a horse off a year layoff.
Yeah, that horse off the big layoff is Absolute Chaos at 3, who, I mean, just massively faced the best horses of anybody. Greeley and Ben, it was like a 25-time winner. Macron, Sir Alfred James has been a great at Stakes Company, and he's very quick, been off all that time, working sharp. You got to think he's going to fire out of there.
Yeah, and Jimmy DeVito's a trainer that's been winning races for as long as I can remember, since I started riding. So he's a guy who knows how to prepare a horse.
He does, and this horse has obviously been working well coming into this return race, and he's run well at Oaklawn in the past, too. Although he hasn't won, he's hit the board in 3 of 5 starts. But you always have to ask yourself, why the drop? When you're dealing with a situation with a horse that you haven't seen in a while. And I actually think the number 1, Triple Elvis, is a little bit interesting. A horse that has tried all 3 surfaces, used to be with the Chad Brown barn, and now returns to the dirt.
11-1 from that inside post. That one making his 5-year-old return to the races. Favorite, though, Absolute Chaos. Long time away, February of last year. Let's go to Matt Dinnerman for the call.
Danny Caldwell colors. And then after Forever Cool, we wait on Cactus. Here's Cactus coming up. We're ready to go. And Leroff, good break from Manta Ray in the middle of the field. He was out alertly and is up close to the pace. Rocking Rocket there as well. Absolutely Chaos is now moving up. It's Rocking Rocket with a narrow lead on Cactus, who makes his way into second to press the issue. Absolutely Chaos is back in the 3rd spot. Backside Buzz alongside of him. 1.5 lengths to Triple Elvis, Bob White, Bobby, and a 3-deep Manta Ray, who was off very alertly today. He's been shuffled towards the back of the pack. Boat Song is trying to make up ground on the inside of rivals into the turn, and Forever Cool's at the back. Rocking Rocket flees from the pack, opens up 3 around the turn. Cactus now in chase mode, second. Backside Buzz sent along from the 3rd position. Absolute Chaos down on the inside rides the rail. Manta Ray is going to be caught deep turning for home. He's about 5 or 6 wide off the turn. Rocking Rocket cuts the corner, still leads. The margin's only 1.5 lengths. Backside Buzz trying to reel him in. Absolute Chaos between horses finds a seam if he's good enough. Furlong to go. Rocking Rocket, Backside Buzz, Absolute Chaos still between them. Manta Ray's trying to get there. Rocking Rocket, desperate for the line. He's almost there. Lunging late. Manta Ray on the outside got him. Manta Ray over Rocking Rocket, who suffered a heartbreaking loss. Absolute Chaos 3rd. Backside Buzz 4th.
Paul LaDuca all over it with a 20-1 shot. Nice call. It's Manta Ray in the 5th at Oaklawn.
I want to know one thing. Who does Paul like in the Super Bowl? I want to know all his prop bets, because that was a mic drop moment. Great call, Paul. Manta Ray gets up right on the wire, in the shadow of the wire. Rocket, Keith Asmussen milked him for everything he had and just got nailed late, but what a call from Paul.
Let's get back to New York and the nightcap on the Sunday card. We start with Quiet Wisdom. Todd Pletcher Barn, Kendrick Carmouche from the inside.
Yeah, a horse that takes money every single time and has been a little bit disappointing. Certainly good enough to win.
Entry mate's going to break second to the outside. A first-time starter for George Weaver.
Yeah, with a nice steady work tab here for the son of Flatter.
Out of Waterbury. Distant second to the Big Torpedo last start.
2 second-place finishes at big prices, last 2 dirt races, a little bit of a shorter price today.
Ava's Uncle Billy took money first time out, and then everyone abandoned this horse.
Yeah, and this horse is very well bred by Uncle Mo out of Ava K. I've got an Uncle Billy, too. So.
First-timer, Merlin's Moment.
Yeah, Maggie talked about it, that nice pedigree full to Baldassar and making a nice impression physically.
Landoro went by for Clement. Here's Charles J.
It's going to have to improve.
Burning Beauty, Christophe Clement, blinkers on.
Horse that has that experience, just making his second start and ran into some decent ones first time out.
Big pedigree play. He was favored first time out. Didn't run a lot for Chad Brown. St. Gaudens.
Into Mischief, Artemis Agritera, Grade 1 winner from Michael Hushin. Has to step up.
This one finished ahead of that horse last time out in start number 2.
And showed a lot of improvement first start to his second race. Probably needs another step forward, but at least it's in there.
You know, dead last out of the gate in that race, too. The 11th solo Empire for the Jimmy Ferraro barn.
Showed some promise first time out, and the last 2 races left a little bit to be wanting, but the horse did flash some ability on debut.
3 minutes to post. Nightcap in New York. Let's go to JK.
Yeah, guys, I'm going to go with the 9 St. Gaudens. Yeah, you get the blinkers on. This horse took a ton of money first time out, right? It was a very short price, and like you guys mentioned, allegedly didn't do much running. But I will say this. and that 6 furlong race, this horse ran about a mile, was wide all the way around there. Gets the blinkers on, and Richie touched on it a little bit. At least you could hear it in his voice when he said it. Into Mischief, out of Artemis Agriterra. Like, you can't be a better New York bred than this in terms of the breeding. I'm expecting this horse to run better than they did last time. Like I said, took money, but I do think that this horse is going to run better with that wide trip. And as we're wrapping it up, what time does the Super Bowl start? We got time still? I love the over. 2 weeks to prepare for 2 good offenses and 2 play callers. Let's go over, Mags.
You lost me. Getting back to the horses, the things I know about. I'm a football fan. I enjoy watching it, but yeah, not going to play it. But taking a look at number 3 in here, as Greg mentioned, kind of abandoned in his second start after taking money. But this is the first time this guy's going to get on a fast track. Son of Uncle Mo out of another really nice Michael Hushin runner. He had Artemis Agriterra, and Ava Kay was very nice too. He's a big guy, and a lot of times these big, heavy bone type of horses, they don't get over wet tracks as well as you would like to see. So I think he's very intriguing at a generous price of 14 to 1, getting on a fast track for the first time, as he was wired last time out by Just Step On It in that race, producing Liberty Central to come back and win. So he made a really good impression on me. As we'll take a look at number 7, Charles J, who I wanted to fool around with a little bit because, and like I said, as much as I love Jolie and Jackie Davis, they're not connections that are going to drive the board. And for them to be 4.5 to 1 in an 11-horse field, there's some ability there. I just wish he made a better impression, because there's some big, strapping, good-looking colts in here. He's a little bit small, a little bit backwards, sizes and everything, but sometimes when you're dealing with these maidens, it does add up. And I do think he ran like a horse that wanted to go further than this and comes out of that fast Doc Sullivan race. So I think he'll run well. I just had to jump off of him because I didn't love his overall appearance. As the 1A Big Ego, his price being driven down by Quiet Wisdom, who is going to win without me. But Big Ego, good-looking son of Flatter, is a half to Curly Girl, who was a New York bred stakes winner as a 2-year-old. Little green, little playful in the paddock, little soft around the edges. So I like him. I think there's probably some ability, but we'll take the wait-and-see approach first time out, Greg.
All right, Maggie, thanks. Well, Jonathan going contrarian. Most people I hear have been going under with 2 of the best defenses going head-to-head in the Super Bowl. He's going over. Interesting.
But I liked his reasoning behind it, right? With the offensive coordinators being able to work on it for 2 weeks and obviously studying Phil. I don't know. Maggie was pretty into kind of all over it when the Baltimore Ravens were in it a few years ago.
Yeah, you're right about that. Now
She's
that
dialed into this nightcap.
That's what it is, right?
Entry at 2 to 1. Some very interesting other runners, though, in here. See if they could step up, including a big long shot you like.
Well, I just think, listen, I'm picking the 8, Burning Beauty, adding blinkers. I thought he needed blinkers. But the 10 this time, yes, finished in front of
St. Gaudens.
St. Gaudens last time. He's 50 to 1. St. Gaudens is 3 to 1. That's a crazy disparity.
And with a terrible break in that race, too.
Yeah, I thought he had trouble, too.
If you like the 9, you should like this time, yes, as well.
Nightcap on Super Bowl Sunday here from Aqueduct. Let's go to Chris Griffin.
Solo Empire. Last to load. And in. All set. And they're off. Solo Empire breaks with early speed towards the far outside. Also right there, Landoro's in the early mix. It's Solo Empire who will clear. St. Gaudens broke a step slow, but is now moving forward, tightly bunched here behind the leaders. Solo Empire will bring him out of the chute. Landoro's down towards the inside, and the orange cap, that's Charles J, is joining those leaders with St. Gaudens 3 wide. That's the leading 4. Up on the outside, here comes Big Ego's got some forward momentum, and to the inside of that rival there is Burning Beauty, is stacked up in behind horses. Then inside of that one is Ava's Uncle Billy, and towards the rail there is Out of Waterbury. There's the gray Quiet Wisdom moving forward. Is Merlin's Moments to the outside of that rival second to last, and the trailer This time, yes, 23-3 for the opening quarter mile. Solo Empire is 49-1, and Solo Empire is a half length in front. St. Gaudens is right here under a snug hold, just wants to go, and St. Gaudens now presses on, and St. Gaudens quickly passes Solo Empire, who's back to second. Big Ego is now under a drive, and here comes Big Ego, has taken second, but St. Gaudens is looking very nice into that turn. Here comes a run from Quiet Wisdom as the gray. Merlin's Moment to the outside of that one, Burning Muty as the leader is getting away. 47-3 for that half-mile time. They're approaching a quarter mile left to go. St. Gaudens has still got the lead. Manny Franco and now gets the cue, and St. Gaudens is about 8 lengths in front of the field. St. Gaudens is just running away from him. Here comes Quiet Wisdom, is challenging here with Merlin's Moment. They're trying to rally on the grandstand side together. Big Ego's under a full drive. A furlong left to go, and they've got a long way to catch St. Gaudens, who is not stopping. St. Gaudens looked like a winner on the backstretch, and St. Gaudens is going to win this one in dominating fashion in the finale. St. Gaudens wins it over Merlin's Moment. Then came Quiet Wisdom, Big Ego, and Land d'Oro. In 1 minute 39.
That big pedigree, St. Gaudens, the win. We'll see you next Friday at 3 Eastern.